YouTube. Okay, let's see if YouTube works. All right, let's give it a minute. YouTube is... And then let me know how the volume... Okay. Okay, looks like we're good. Okay, I think we're live. I think we're good. Hopefully it's not copyrighted music. We have an emote. Oh, do we? What, for my channel? Really? Oh, I don't see it. I only see globals. Oh, Mercado? This is Mercado Derby. You have to refresh. Oh, yeah, makes sense. Holy shit, guys. 100 people here already? That's crazy. Oh, it's not working. Weird. I can't see. I had to refresh window. Oh, weird. Mod check. Dude, imagine I didn't have access to it. All right, that's great. Wait, I want to do... Oh, yeah, look, I have my very first emote. Oh, that's so fun. Yay, look at me. Wait, I can hit you guys with an ad. Get added. YouTube, don't worry about it. We love you at YouTube. Let me open my ground control thing so I can see both chats. Though I doubt people will be on the YouTube one, but it's a good habit to get going. True, I do have amazing emotes thanks to my friend Naya, who's the GOAT. Of course. Guys, we are 75% of the way from a sub goal. 8 out of 10 new subs. Ooh, that's good. All right, 2 more. Well, we'll definitely get it with the gifted next week, so that'll be cool. Ad break ends in 18. Okay, so again, if you just joined, it looks like, wow, even more people just joined. What up, guys? Yo, that's cool. If you got, oh, is Fub bouncing around things? What up, Fub? Love you, man. I know he was looking at all the streamers before. Okay. Guys, so from now on, I'm pretty sure it's follower only chat from now on. I'm gonna start just doing that because I noticed a lot of the Poe guys had to turn that on for stuff. And then we added a new feature that you can do talk to speech. All right, 1 minute, lock in. We're looking for shadow buffs. We're looking for dagger buffs. We're looking for self-cast spell buffs. That's what we're looking for. Those 3 things. Bow buffs, of course, but like obviously we want bow buffs. That's like that doesn't even need to be said at this point. And volume's good for everyone. And Zara, oh, Zara's got one in there. Let's go. Why talk to speech if you're talking to you're already speaking? True, but you guys can do it, right? Okay, here we go. Yo, and if guys, I need to send in clips to the clip channel. So if you found something that you think I did was funny or worth clipping, clip it and let me know. Or if you find a time, I'll go back and clip it. So let's try and get some reacts because I'd like to go on Exile again and all that. All right, love you guys.
I'm Jonathan Rogers, game director on Path of Exile.
All right.
And welcome.
Oh, Jonathan's
to GGG
doing
Live.
this one.
We have massive changes to show you today with Path of Exile: Curse of the Oriflame, which is
Volume's
coming
good?
out next week on July 25th. Twitch drops are enabled on today's livestream, so you'll be able to claim your Abyssal Soul Shatter rare finisher effect by following the instructions below. Let's not keep you waiting though. Roll the trailer for Path of Exile: Curse of the Oriflame.
Here we go. Shadow.
The Oriflame calls us to the sea. To a lost wreck that still draws ghostly breath. A curse down below.
Oh boy. Whoa.
With my lanterns, we can explore the sea floor. We must find the source of the Oriflame.
Okay.
The brine rot.
Was that Cobra Latch?
Somewhere
That
in the
falling
blackest
thunder?
depths, bounty and death await.
Okay. Oh, new crafting. All right, all right. Yeah, this. Let's go. Okay, new boss fight. Legion upgrade. Let's go. Wait, mercenaries are back. Pack spells. What? New ascendancy
Come find your
class?
fortune in the depths of the
What?
sea.
Wait, what? Wait, a new ascendancy?
In today's stream, we'll be walking you through all the details
Oh my
of
God,
Path of
Spellcaster!
Exile, Curse of the Oriflame. We will comb the ocean floor, discovering
know.
sunken artifacts of forgotten origins. Fight the horrors of the deep, and do your best to keep from being crushed by the waters above you. We're revisiting some familiar mechanics to bring new life to systems that have begun, perhaps, to show their age.
Wait, socket
Abyss
color
and Legion
reworks.
will both be receiving significant upgrades, including a new pinnacle boss for Abyss and a new chase crafting system for unique items in Legion. In addition to revamps of the existing leagues though, we're also bringing back some old friends. The mercenaries of Trathus are making their way back to Rayclast.
Holy dude.
Then we'll explain our new endgame system. We will join Kirak in investigating anomalies appearing on the Atlas. After that, we'll
Yeah,
discuss
fuck,
the
now
character
all
and skill
slots are-
balance coming in Curse of the Oriflame. Finally, we'll cover our new set of supporter packs, after which we'll have a live Q&A session where Ziggy D will interview Path of Exile's game director Mark, as well as game designers Octavian and Andrew,
Oh,
answering
nice.
your
Okay, I
questions
saw
from Twitch
Octavian's
chat.
doing it.
After the live stream, we'll drop the full patch notes at 11 AM NZT. So let's
Hello,
get started.
YouTube.
I'll hand things over to Mark to introduce the new league.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game
Okay.
Director on Path of Exile. In Path of Exile Curse of the Oriflame, a long-forgotten mystery has begun to stir beneath Rayclast seas. Hidden in the icy depths lie strange and immensely powerful treasures, waiting for those bold enough to claim them. Meet Valerie, a dangerous Corsair
What up,
captain
girl?
who needs boots on the ground and on the sea floor to help her retrieve these treasures and unlock their potential. This is where you come in, to help her find the charts scattered across Rayclast. Then, use those to guide her ship to the patch of brine that holds loot for the taking. In return, you'll get a cut of the profits. These lost charts are guarded by the undead, rival Corsairs, or horrible creatures of the deep. Each of these monster encounters will also have a custom bonus for defeating the enemies. For example, successfully defeating the accursed
Okay.
undead that guard this treasure chest will cause the grateful trapped soul inside to grant you its power, possessing you and granting you ghastly power for the rest of the area.
Okay, so kind of like the Mirage.
Once a chart is
things.
in hand, you'll board the good ship, the Sovereign. Valerie, or Val's, reappropriated
Val's.
Ariathan naval vessel. Here, Val introduces you to the heart and soul of her ship, quite literally. Vesper, another Pondium native like Val, is bound to this ship. His soul
Oh, shit,
burns with
guys,
the
sorry. 2
Oriflame's
seconds.
curse,
2
and
seconds.
were his comatose body to be removed from the ship, he would surely die. The silvery apparatus that lines the bows and eaves of the vessel allow him to steer the Sovereign anywhere in Rayclast's waters. Using the chart you've brought, Vesper can navigate to a location so you can scout it for Val, and while doing
Banana,
so,
banana.
claim whatever treasures there
I
might
gotta
be.
get a snack. Walking.
How, though, will you avoid a watery grave once sunk below? Vesper controls a spark of the Oriflame,
Okay.
a powerful
Lock
and
it.
mysterious
Lock it.
magic, which has been imbued into a number of
immerse it.
devices aboard the ship. Chief among them, the
Playing them out,
bathysphere.
it give me trauma would
This
have been immersive.
entirely safe and
Yeah,
well-tested contraption of rivets, bolts, and metal
Don't say
will
banana
be
to
your
me. Oh,
ticket
gosh.
beneath the waves to explore and plunder.
It's a nice
While
series,
scouting
yes.
the depths, in order to not need an ample supply of air, we're instead going to place all-flame lanterns.
Okay.
These are conduits of the power that keeps Vesper alive and bound to the ship,
Yeah.
and give you the temporary safety you need to do that exploring. Without them,
Yo,
you
this,
will
I need
drown.
to see this gem socket thing because that's the,
The
hardest
first of
thing to
these
get
is
people
strapped
into
to the
Poe 1
bathysphere
is the fucking
and
colors.
activates on landing. rushing the water away to reveal horrifying monstrosities, lost treasures, and a strange luminous coral growing from the corrupted dead in the oceans of Rayclast. These strange growths are the real reason Val has asked you to plumb these waters, as the coral can be broken down into dead man sulfur, the fuel that keeps Vesper's light burning.
Okay.
As you get to the perimeter of the safety provided by an all-flame lantern, Val will drop more down at your request. There's also an option available to have new lanterns fired automatically for you as soon as you need them.
Oh, they're already
if you
putting in
prefer
the
speed
quality
over
of
fine
life.
control. Explore and claim what you can.
They know their
while you
players
can.
so well.
Lost fortunes of gold, chests of
Gold
valuables.
is big. Gold from a league
lurking
mechanic is so
threats
big.
all lie in
People
wait
don't
for you
realize
beneath
that.
the
It's not
waves.
Poe 2. You can't just
You
sell
might
things.
even find the odd lost missive, waylaid on its travel to its intended recipient. But hey, finders keepers, right? Beware though, as Vesper can only power so many lanterns at once, and that power is finite. On placing the last of your lanterns, they will begin, one by one, to flicker and fade, and the creatures of the deep will rush in as they sense the vanishing of the light. You'll have to rush back to the safety of the bathysphere, escaping the cold clutches of creatures that
Why were you being
despise the light you
slow
bring.
going in between?
You'll want to place every lantern though, as exploring to collect enough dead man sulfur is the only way to successfully chart the area for the next step, planning a voyage. Val will keep a record of the areas you've charted, storing details in her journals. Once you've charted enough areas,
Because
just talk to
you're-
Val,
Oh god. Oh god.
place
What?
your charts on Val's board, connect them together, and create one giant seafloor excursion. Each area you chart will reveal a special
Voyage?
modifier
Oh, gosh.
that applies when it is used as part
Wait,
of a
hold on.
voyage.
Read this quick.
Applied to either the charts adjacent to it
Monster.
or the whole
Okay,
voyage.
so what? This is just to
Here
juice
are a
it?
few
Okay.
examples. This modifier causes all equipment dropped by monsters in adjacent charts to be converted to gold.
Dude, they're really trying to make new
This
reap
modifier
happen,
will
and I just
spawn
don't think
friendly
it's gonna
jellyfish
work.
alongside every pack of monsters in your voyage, which you will promptly slaughter for extra loot and experience, we're sure. This modifier causes all monsters in adjacent charts to be empowered by wildwood wisps.
Dude, they
With
just
9
can't
positions
let
on
go
your
of the
board for
wisps.
charts when constructing
They
a
can't
voyage,
let go of the
these
wisps.
can stack up fast. There are also charts which can take you to specially rewarding areas of the ocean floor.
Okay.
Fields of anchors strewn with treasure chests full of loot, Calguran shipments lost at sea, and sunken abyssal pits teeming with monsters.
Okay.
To name just a few. There are even some ancient artifacts you might find and resurface. Additionally, the edges of the voyage board track the currents of corruption flowing through the waters of Rayclast, with randomized effects being rolled with each new voyage to affect the charts placed adjacent to them. These add even further rewards to your voyages, and can shake up the way you choose to place your charts. Stack all of that together, and a well-planned voyage, with a bit of luck, can be a very profitable endeavor.
Yeah.
But with so much loot to claim, how are you going to get it all to the surface? Val has a solution for just that problem. In each of the charts that comprise your voyage, there will be a capsule waiting for you, sent down by Val, which can store about an inventory worth of loot. Stuff these full, send Val a signal,
Wait,
and she will
what?
pull it back up to the surface, safe and sound. Since voyages are built of 9 charts, that's a lot of opportunities to send back plenty of valuables. Once you're satisfied with the plunder from your well-planned voyage, find any of these capsule
Voyage trauma.
locations and call the bathysphere to it.
Oh, remember
as you tick
Barrow
it out.
trauma, Mango?
Val will send it down to your rescue, as fast as she can. You just need to survive until it gets there. Good luck. Once you do, don't forget to empty all those capsules full of loot.
Okay, so they give
Now,
us a way to
back to all
just
that
send
dead
all
man
the loot
sulfur
up.
that you've
That's
been hard
really
at work
smart.
gathering. Is that just to keep the Sovereign afloat and Vesper alight? No, it's not. Once you've got a bunch of it, head below decks, and you'll find the heart of the ship at work. Whilst Vesper's body remains above deck, burning away in a contraption of tarnished pipes and corpse-stained glass, resides
Below
Vesper's
deck?
soul, and you'll find him to be a pretty crafty fellow, if a bit
Ah-ha-ha.
melancholy. That's where this league's item crafting system comes into play.
Okay, hold on. Lock
Give
in, guys.
Vesper an item, alongside a currency that you could normally use on that item, and an ample supply of Dead Man's Sulfur. That item is then split into a multitude of ghostly forms,
What?
each of which will be the result of having applied that currency to the original item. You can then pick which of the ghostly
What?
outcomes you like best to keep for yourself. The others will go up in smoke, as Vesper can only reify a single outcome.
So you can get
This
three
can be done
outcomes
with almost
to, like...
any crafting step you'd like. Want to see a few
Holy
outcomes
guys,
for
wait,
that
guys, this
influenced
is
Exalted Orb?
huge. So you basically can get three options
Perhaps
of
you've
what
got a
the
particularly
currency would turn
expensive
into.
fossil combination you want to get maximum value out of.
Wait, that's actually crazy.
Do be wary though, as the more potent the craft, the more sulfur Vesper will require to see it done.
Yeah, it's gonna be very expensive. Lots of farming.
That's not all, however, as the seafloor hides some yet undiscovered potential in the form of rare and valuable ducats.
Hold on.
These
New
can
currency?
be consumed by Vesper to warp and twist items in ways not seen in centuries, such as Kishara's Ducat, which creates 4 ghostly copies of an item, each of which will keep one mod from the original, perfect for creating powerful crafting bases. The Gentile's Ducat, which can solve item or gem requirement problems by
Wait.
changing one attribute to another.
Oh, okay.
And
Wait, that's
Brinehook's
sick.
Ducat, with which you can become an emissary of the gods of Rayclast. Who knows what these aspects might do? These Ducats come from special types of charts, so keep an eye out for them on your travels throughout Rayclast. You may even find some that lead you to notably unwelcoming waters.
Okay.
So that covers the new league, and for the first time in Path of Exile, we're finally going under the sea. Some might even say this is the first real boat league. But that's not all. Not even
Of course.
close. Next up, we've got an old favorite making a return. The mercenaries of Trathus are once again
Underwater
roaming
level,
Rayclast,
baby.
looking for hapless fools
Water
to duel.
Temple like Zelda.
Mercenaries will start appearing from Act 3
Dude,
and some.
Mercenaries back
Before
is
beginning a duel,
crazy.
you'll be offered an overview of the mercenary you've encountered. Here,
Under
you can
the
see the
sea.
gear they have equipped and the skills they employ.
Oh, thank
As
you,
per the
God.
Trathan code, you
Not
have
a
the
paid
right to
chatter.
wager for an item the
I'll pay
mercenary is
you later,
carrying.
dude.
You'll stake some of your gold, and the duel commences.
Sorry, hold on, guys. All right.
If you lose, you forfeit the levied gold,
Dude, they
and the
can be
mercenary
hard. You
will
can
teleport
be,
out.
You can be
repulsed
one
at
shot
such a
by
poor
these
display.
things. We saw so many
Win,
hardcore rips
however,
from
and to the
mercenaries.
victor will go the spoils. In addition, if you win the duel, the mercenary will aid you as an ally for
I'm
a
very
number of
worried
areas.
about this. Yeah,
Trathan
dude.
mercenaries
I
are
need to
powerful
shave.
allies to have in Rayclast, assisting in a number of ways. Some mercenaries can provide you with powerful auras and buffs, while other mercenaries can do all the killing for you.
Look at that outfit. They have
While
the
in
scuba
map
outfit
areas, if you don't like anything the mercenary offers,
You can-
have the
What?
ability
You
to
can
request
rematch
their
them.
warrant. A warrant is a promise to return and duel again at a later date. A call to action that calls that specific mercenary to a
What?
future map, with the same set of skills, but a new set of items. A mercenary will only grant their warrant once, however,
This is the best
preventing you from
fucking
fighting
company
that
in the
mercenary
world.
in every single area.
It's unbelievable what they can do in 3. Give
Warrants
them 3
also
months,
allow
they
you to
give you a
trade
full game.
specific mercenaries to other players. It is important to note that unlike in Mercenaries of Trathus League, having a mercenary does not count as a player party member. So having a mercenary does not increase monster life or the quantity and rarity of items dropped from monsters.
Okay.
Given that, you may be wondering, but what if I really like a mercenary I found? They have a great personality and powerful skills. Is there really no way I can keep them as an ally permanently? Well, you can, but only if you are a Scion. For the second time in 6 months, the Scion is getting a new Ascendancy class, the Luminary. The Luminary is a natural leader, lighting the way for others to follow. Becoming a Luminary
What?
immediately lets them allocate the Noble Blood passive,
What?
allowing them to permanently hire any mercenary they find in Rayclast. Luminaries can have up to 3 permanently hired mercenaries, 2 in reserve in towns and hideouts, and
Hold
1
up.
as an active ally in combat. Unlike with regular mercenaries, you can change the items permanently hired mercenaries have equipped, opening up innumerate potential build possibilities.
What?
By default, permanently hired mercenaries cannot be equipped with unique items, but these passives enable them to equip specific types of uniques. While the legendary arms passive empowers mercenaries that have many different unique items equipped. Luminaries have the flexibility of becoming a support character to their mercenary, or having their mercenary support
God,
them.
you can be a total support
The
card.
Oath of Fealty and Golden Glory passives empower your mercenary by using your link skills on them. The Loyal Bodyguard and Bestowed Knighthood passives enable your mercenary to protect you in combat, as well as enhancing their aura skills. As with any old league that we add to the core game, we have added full Atlas Tree and Scarab support. Here are just a few examples. These passives allow you to much more easily target the specific types of mercenaries you want showing up in your maps. The Loot and Pillage passive gives mercenaries a chance to drop all their items when defeated, instead of just the one you selected.
Wow, that's
The
crazy.
Trathan Scarab of Renown makes it so the spawned mercenary is covered head to tail in unique items.
What the
And
hell?
the Trathan Scarab of Infamy forces a more powerful, infamous mercenary to spawn,
Dude,
accompanied
sounds
by
crazy.
2 other mercenaries for a truly unfair duel. Unfair for them.
Mark.
There's even a few entirely new mercenary types, one of which is found exclusively on the seafloor in rare Curse of the Allflame encounters. Sellswords of Trathus won't be the whole of your problems in 329, however,
That's
as
great.
the denizens
yeah, Hunt,
of the
they do,
Lightless are getting some much-needed updates with the
they sell
modernization and
stat
rework
and
of
cosmetics.
Abyss.
That's it.
When we brought
Oh,
Abyss
here we go.
over to
Please
Path
be
of
Bo
Exile
to
2
Abyss.
and Rise of the Abyssal, some functional changes to the mechanic were made to improve the gameplay significantly. In Curse of the Allflame, the majority of those changes will be making their way back to Path of Exile 1. The existing Abyss content
No,
had some
don't worry.
notable
There's plenty.
problems.
We gotta wait for patch notes
Aside
for
from
that.
being very dated, it also required
There's so
the
much
player
happening
to
right
follow
now.
a crack
It's
as it
insane.
opens, often backtracking throughout already cleared areas. Now, as you
Mercenaries are
approach an
back, though.
abyssal pit, and the cracks leading up to it,
Yes!
you will find that it is already open and spilling forth abyssal energy into the surrounding area, subjugating the souls of enemies unlucky enough to be within its influence. Slaying these enemies will send those souls spiraling down into the pit, drawing the attention and ire of the minions of Kulamak that dwell beneath. Slay
Okay.
enough of them, and the Abyssal Legion will spill forth from their domain to tear you apart.
There it is! Thanos!
The upshot of this rework is twofold. Firstly, there is now much more visceral feedback in the moment-to-moment gameplay of Abyss, with audio and visual cues drawing the player
Dude, they're
along.
doing a lot of self-cast.
And most importantly, you'll never need to chase a meandering abyssal crack around a map ever again.
Scion's
no
definitely
more
not coming to
backtracking.
Poe 2.
However, be on your guard. The abyssal minions of Kulamak have some different tricks up their sleeves in PoE 1, and many employ entirely different skills to those of their PoE 2 counterparts. To be clear, there are still some aspects of the existing abyssal system that we will be keeping. Abyssal jewels and items with abyssal
Okay, so
sockets
jewels and
will
sockets are
remain.
staying.
In fact, we have given Abyss a similar treatment to what we did with Dell fossils in our last release, moving Abyssal rewards out of other areas of the game
And
to
only
make
in
Abyss the
Abyss. Okay,
exclusive
good.
source of Abyssal jewels and Stygian vices.
That's a good thing.
This will also come with a complete refresh of Abyssal Scarabs and Atlas passive tree investment.
That's awesome.
with
That's
some
awesome.
truly
Good things.
dangerous
Good
and
things.
wild new ways to take on the lightless hordes. Lastly for Abyss, but definitely not least,
We go Abyss and
Abyss
Breach.
is bringing an entirely new endgame pinnacle boss, with its
Okay.
own set of brand new unique items. This boss has a very unique way of accessing it. What does this eyeball do? Good luck figuring this one out. Let's move on to our next league
Oh,
being
I love
reworked,
that.
Legion. Every league should have distinct and interesting rewards that are exclusively available from that mechanic. This allows players to specialize in certain corners of the game, rewarding those who engage with a given mechanic. Legion is next on our list to receive
That's
this
crazy.
treatment.
They're doing a Legion rework.
Despite having a unique combat mechanic, we felt Legion didn't have interesting exclusive rewards outside of timeless jewels.
Kinda true.
While incubators were technically exclusive to Legion, they effectively granted the same rewards that you could get elsewhere. So, what are we doing about it? Firstly, incubators are being removed. No longer
Wow.
will you have to remember to apply incubators to all your equipment every few maps. Instead, we will be adding a new type of reward exclusive to Legion, vestigial unique items. Legion generals and maps will have a chance to drop a new type of currency item, enshrouding crystals. These can be used on your unique armors. You can then take the enshrouded item to the domain of timeless conflict, which might look a little bit different to what you remember. A giant crystal emerges from the center of the domain, and there appears to be some sort of entity trapped inside, potentially the reason that these armies are engaged in eternal conflict. At the base of the crystal are a number of smaller crystals. Clicking on one allows us to place our enshrouded item inside. As we then kill monsters in the domain of timeless conflict, our gloves within the crystal begin to transform.
Okay.
And once you have killed enough, the crystal becomes volatile and looks ready to fracture. I wonder what will come out. Our Shaper's Touch transformed into a Malagaro's Virtuosity. But now, the Malagaro's Virtuosity has a trace of the original enshrouded item bestowed upon it, in the form of a vestigial implicit modifier.
Wait,
As
this
you can
is
see,
crazy.
enshrouding crystals allow you to transfer powerful modifiers from one unique item onto another.
Oh my god, we're
Here
gonna be able
are
to
some
make the
more
coolest shit ever.
examples of vestigial unique items. Helmets, boots, gloves, shields, and body armors.
Wait, what?
In addition to vestigial items, we are also making a number of small improvements to Legion. You no longer need to kill every last monster to begin the Legion encounter. Breaking out all the key monsters, chests, and the majority of monsters will be enough to start the combat automatically. No more cheeky single monster hiding in the corner, preventing your encounter from starting. Legion monsters drop fewer splinters, but in larger stack sizes, resulting in fewer clicks in each encounter.
Okay. that's good.
Unrelenting timeless emblems have been removed, with regular timeless emblems absorbing many of their effects, causing the domain of timeless conflict to become harder, but more rewarding as you kill monsters. Your reward progress in the domain is now tracked by charging up these small purple crystals, rather than flooding your screen with hundreds of reward icons. The rewards are still the same, just not obscuring your screen with symbols. Talismans were introduced back in 2015, but over the years they've been long neglected and lack a meaningful place or purpose. We are making a number of changes to bring talismans back to relevance. Firstly, talismans are now exclusive rewards from Bestiary.
Okay. We figured
Every
beast
red
area,
beast
so.
has a chance to drop a talisman specific to that beast. For example, the Krashik Croaker can drop the Croaker Talisman. What makes these talismans special? Well, you'll notice a couple of changes compared to old talismans.
+1 level of all skill checks.
Firstly,
What?
talismans no longer drop corrupted, making them far easier to craft once you find one.
Okay, that's
Secondly,
really good.
the special modifiers on talismans are now enchantments, rather than implicits. This means they compete with blight anointments, allowing their
Oh, I didn't
effects to
play
be
that then.
significantly more powerful than before. Here are a few more examples of new talismans. Talisman unique items have all been improved, and now have a chance to drop from all bestiary bosses.
No, talismans have been
Check
dead
out the
for me.
new
I've
Eyes of the
never
Great
used
Wolf
them, really.
Talisman, which has some crazy possibilities. So that is everything covering the new and reworked League mechanics in 329.
Okay.
Now, that's already quite a lot of in-game content, with Mercenaries returning, an upgraded Abyss, Legion's new reward mechanic, and of course, everything the Curse of the Allflame League has to offer.
Want to see what people are
But
saying?
even with all of that, we're not done. Because what about the Atlas itself? Given Zana's actions to try and destroy it in the last two expansions.
Yes, here we go.
Zana's actions are
Here we
causing the
go.
Atlas
I knew
to
it 'cause
become
of the
ever
compass.
more destabilized. Strange locations have begun to manifest on the Atlas, many of which seem to be bleeding over from familiar places in Rayclast. Kerak has labelled these as anomalies. When you complete maps affected by a Voidstone, there is a chance that when you next open your Atlas, an anomaly may manifest. Like this one, the Mana Foyer. Like regular maps on the Atlas, you can select them at your map device, but unlike regular maps, these don't require an item to enter. It looks like this area is the abode of Cadero Perandus. Cadero is willing to offer valuable items in exchange for our gold. If you don't like what is on offer, you can reject it, and he will immediately offer another item. The next offer will cost more gold, but hopefully is much more valuable to you. If you don't have enough gold for the offered item, don't worry. Cadero is happy to wait for you to replenish your coffers. You can return to the area at any time. The anomaly will not disappear from the Atlas until you either purchase an item or reject all his offers. Anomalies are unique in this regard. Unlike other locations on the Atlas, these areas can often be revisited. Let's quickly run through a few of the anomalies that can manifest.
Okay.
Reflecting Mists and the Nameless Seer no longer randomly spawn within maps, but instead now appear in their own anomaly areas.
Okay, makes sense.
Scrying is no longer the domain of the Nameless Seer, but instead can be done through the new, tradable Scrying Orb. Some anomalies grant a taste of League mechanics you might not normally run, without having to be fully invested into them. For example, this anomaly creates a random, fully revealed heist blueprint wing, with random rogue companions. This anomaly has a version of the Sacred Grove, where the plants have fully taken over. This strongbox seems to have a strange mechanism. Atlas anomalies are unaffected by your Atlas skill tree, and you can't augment them using any fragments. Therefore, they can be run at any time without feeling like they have to be saved for later to maximize the potential rewards. There are many more Atlas anomalies to discover for yourselves, each of them tied to a specific Atlas quadrant. It is therefore worth discovering which ones can spawn in each part of the Atlas, as it may influence what Atlas strategy you wish to pursue. So that is a heap of new challenges to encounter, from the League and the endgame. But you may be asking, what new tools do we have to face these challenges? In 329, we are giving a bit of love to spellcasters, specifically those that cast spells themselves.
Yes! Soulcast! Yes!
Let's address the elephant in the room that astute players may have noticed. Yes, I'm talking about those socket colors.
Oh my god, here we go.
After the better part of 2 decades, in 329, we're making a fairly radical change.
Guys, this is what
Sockets, at a basic level, don't have colors anymore.
Let's go!
You can now put any colored gem into any socket. We're doing this to address a long-running issue for both new and experienced
players. That's exactly what I said. We can't get new players in
almost
because of the
everyone
colors.
who has played before has run into the issue of finding a notable upgrade and have struggled to find a way to equip it. Maybe you find an amazing body armor, one that would give you a substantial boost to your defenses.
Thank God. Stupid.
But
it's
you just
old.
can't move
It
your
worked
skill or
back
support
then.
gems
It's
over
not needed
because
anymore.
the colors of the sockets just don't match, and you didn't luck out with your chromatic orbs. It's not fun when you have to unequip a bunch of skills or supports just to use a better item.
True!
This can still happen with the socket numbers and socket links, so it's not like it's just purely trivial, but the colors were just unnecessary. And not only prevented upgrading gear, it limited build experimentation.
It did!
So, given that, what do the colors on gems with regards to sockets even now mean? Well, the colors on gems for sockets are still relevant, just as an upgrade system. You can still find items with colored sockets, and you can craft them onto items. They are just rarer and more powerful. Most importantly, they don't restrict what can be socketed into them.
Amazing!
So how are they more powerful? Well, if you were to find an item with, say, a green socket, you can put a green gem inside of it to get an additional quality
Anyone
bonus to
hates
that
on it,
gem.
they can get fucked.
This allows socket colors to be a purely positive outcome on an item, while not just simplifying the system away. You can also still change the color of sockets on your items using a chromatic orb, which now guarantees at least one red, blue, or green socket. This change will make it easier for everyone to upgrade items and maintain their build, especially while progressing. Speaking of builds and gems, we wanted to make sure we improve some of those, specifically for spellcasters. Let's
Okay.
get into that.
Buy the dip.
Spellcasters have a large number of different skills to choose from, but often
It's spell
many
league.
skills play and scale in similar ways.
Dude, I'm playing my arc build.
We have
maybe
done
then.
a pass through existing spells, differentiating spell damage types from each other. For example, Shadow's physical spells, like Ethereal Knives and Bladefall, now have a much higher critical strike chance than other spells at the expense of damage. Pure Lightning spells now all have generally higher cast speeds, but they cost more mana per second than other spells.
That's fine.
We noticed that some of the Ascendancy classes for Shadow, Witch, and Templar were lacking options for general spellcasting, so we've added a new notable to the Assassin, the Occultist,
Okay.
and the Inquisitor.
Okay.
We are also
Shadow
introducing
buffs?
a new skill, Mana Infused Staff, that infuses your staff with arcane energy, raising your block chance and reducing the mana cost of your spells.
Yo, is this an occultist league?
In addition, when you are hit by an enemy, you retaliate with a wave of arcane lightning, dealing damage based on your maximum mana. One of the struggles we noticed with certain self-cast archetypes was that they lacked a scaling option in the endgame. In 329, we're adding a special new set of exceptional skill gems called Pacts. Each pact is themed around a specific Beyond demon and Lycia. You can make a bargain with these demons to empower your spells. But at what cost, you may ask? Well, these spells don't have a typical cost, but instead cause the player to gain a special
Ooh.
affliction debuff.
Don't like
Don't
that.
worry too much though, the rewards will be worth it.
Don't like that.
For example, Pact of Baydat causes many of your different spells to just cause a ruckus. While Pact of Gore is for dot builds. Using this pact will
Chaos
plague
Dot?
your enemies. Just
Chaos
cast
Dot?
it and watch everything around you melt. I wonder what Pact of Lycia and Pact of Katash do.
Oh, come
We
on.
won't go into the specifics of all the balance changes we are making here, but there are many more caster improvements, including buffs to specific spells and supports, buffs to caster unique items, as well as more and better ways to solve mana. Check out the patch notes later for all the details. Next up, we're going to be talking about the new supporter packs for Curse of the Allflame. Today, we're launching 2 new series of supporter packs, the Plague and Remedis packs. Each tier contains the pack's full
Ads start in
face
5
value
minutes,
and
guys.
points, alongside several exclusive
Plague
microtransactions.
supporter. That sounds like
As
poison.
always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Plague series of supporter packs contains 7 exclusive microtransactions. Equipping the Plague weapon skin replaces the
Right.
default
Dude.
appearance of your staff,
Right.
sword, mace, or shield with a weapon that has been
L9,
submerged
baby.
in corrosive toxins. The Plague
Oh, yeah,
Rat
I'm get-
Pet
okay, we're
is the
getting the
result
rat.
of a nefarious experiment.
Cadril.
When a unique enemy is nearby, it faints as a defensive mechanism
He
to protect its
faints.
fragile
Rat
body
Girl
so
Summer.
it can continue to spread disease. The metal of the Plague Bearer armor set has corroded, and the cloth has begun to disintegrate from being exposed to such toxic elements. It includes the Plague Bearer back attachment, which spreads disease across the ground in town areas, maximizing the
Dung
chance of
eater?
infection. A diseased swarm infects your weapon when using the Plague Bearer weapon effect. Use it alongside the Erupting Pustule's rare finisher effect to spread vile and devastating disease to monsters you kill.
Gross.
Activating the Plague Wraith map device causes the
Oh.
plagued energy to flow from the chained being. Given the goal of spreading such illness is to end the lives of as many as possible, the map device tracks kills in kind, showing you the number of enemies killed in each map, sorted by rarity. Feel free to even pin the count of enemies slain in a map to the leaderboard at your leisure. Pair it with the Putrefying Portal to fully immerse yourself in the Plague Propagator experience. Both the map device and the portal emit such a potent putrefaction that even the birds flying overhead cannot survive, as they plummet to the ground around it. The Remedis Pack series also contains 7 exclusive microtransactions. The Remedis weapon skin changes the appearance of your staff, wand, scepter, or shield, with relics once used by the Order of the Remedis Knights against the Plague. The Medi Roa pet is kitted out with all the supplies necessary for healing in remote locations.
About the,
Strangely, these
that
Roas
is
seem to have a
SPD.
particular fondness for goblin meat. The Remedis Knight armor set is bestowed upon those tasked with traveling through Rayclast to purge the sick of their diseases. The matching back attachment cleanses the disease left behind on the ground in town areas by the Plague Bearer back attachment. It's an important job of a Remedis Knight to not let disease take over. Help by doing your part. The Remedis Knight weapon effect funnels the divine power of purification into your weapon. Return to the Saints' End Monastery hideout
That's cool.
to
These are
recuperate
good.
from your purifying duties. Once a thriving center for curing ailments, this monastery has slowly wasted away while lying unused. If you're feeling brave enough, there's even a platform to dive into the purifying waters below before washing back up at the base of the hideout. Last, but not least, use the Reservoir of Benediction Affinity Stash to store all of your elixirs. This stash opens to your stash tab with the Flask
Guys,
Affinity
there's
set.
7 minutes left. Make
Additionally,
sure you're getting your,
all
or I have on my
microtransactions
thing,
from the
you wanna
supporter
watch
packs
45 minutes. I
are
have 7
available for
minutes on
use
mine.
in Path of Exile
Maybe we
2.
have an hour of this, so make sure
We're
you get
looking
your
forward
draw.
to seeing which of you choose to become the Plague and spread disease across Rayclast, or those who wish to fight against it by becoming a Remedis Knight. Thank you so much for your ongoing support.
All right.
We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, we'll post the full patch notes
Yep.
for Path of Exile,
Just gotta wait for patch
Curse
notes.
of the Allflame,
But
at 11 a.m. New
Assassin,
Zealand time, 4 p.m. Pacific.
I'm
With
playing
release
spells.
at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need for the release. Keep an eye on the news.
All right, let's wait for the thing. Really good changes. Okay, so hold on a second. Ads are about to start. Sorry, guys, nothing I can do about that. So, before the fucking Redditors or the old school players start crying, the color system was old and dated and needed to be updated. And hold on. We won. Bingo. We just need Jung to get sick, but we won bingo, baby. What's up, Potato? Huge W. Fucking our channel is thriving. So while those fucking wusses out there are gonna complain, here we are thriving. Shadow got buffs, self-cast got buffs, and we don't gotta worry about colors anymore, so we can get new players to come in and actually enjoy the game and play it so it doesn't die. I don't know, sounds like a freaking win to me. And we get to go under the sea. It's just all W's. Plus I get to go do Abyss. Now I get to go do Breach and Abyss, and it's going to be so much fun. Oh, I can't wait next week. I'm so damn excited. Shadow buff, baby. Oh, I'm so freaking excited, guys. Yo, so many people here. Thanks, guys. If Fub was looking, tell him thanks for showing the channel. That's crazy they buff Shadow, though. I think you stopped by. Huge. So happy for you. Can't wait to see you cook. Oh, for Shadow? Yeah, we'll be fine. I already have an idea. But the we'll see. I gotta see what patch notes are because I want to see what that Penance Brand Ignite's looking. But the arc stuff with either occultist. Well, occult. All right, there's two things we could do. We could do occultist Ice Nova, which I kind of wanted to do, or I could do arc on Assassin, which I know will be good. All right, here we go.
Exiles,
Here we go.
and
This is where
welcome
we get
back
the real
for another
info.
Q&A
So.
for 3.29.
We are joined here by, it's a little bit cozier here than usual. We have game director Mark Roberts, along with lead game designers on Path of Exile 1, Octavian and Andrew. And Andrew, welcome. This is your first time joining us on the Q&A. It's good to have you here. You have been on some other podcasts and things in the past before, but it's exciting to have you all here for the
Are
podcast.
you happy with the bus?
I'm going to give people a bit of a lay of the land
data?
of like what it is that each of you, like Octavian and Andrew, work on for Path of Exile, so people can kind of understand where your expertise lies, maybe.
Yeah, so for Path of Exile 1, I've been working on it for primarily for quite a few years now. And typically I'll dip my hands into everything and related to the expansion. However, in the last few expansions, Chris has been handling the majority of the League stuff, and I typically handle most of the other bits and bobs. So yeah, for example, in this one, things like Mercenary and Legion and the balance, I would have had a hand in.
Was really looking
Yeah, and you certainly did a lot on the balance side of things. It looks like you did 150 skills or something.
When the patch notes come out, you'll see the changes there. So
what? That's
the later nuke. So.
And what about for you, Octavian? What do you kind of focus on for people who are not familiar?
So
they did it. They did the gem rework.
Mercenaries, Mirage, and now Curse of the Allflame.
All the mad lads.
Sort of leading the design on the League mechanic itself. And then basically wherever else I'm needed. So this time around, I did the new Abyss Pinnacle boss. So you can blame me if he kills you. I did a bunch of new uniques, some transfigured skills that'll be in the patch, because that's a pet project of mine. I really like transfigured skills, and probably some other stuff I'm forgetting. But yeah, I mean, mostly the League this time. It's a chunky one.
Yeah. I mean, that was where I was originally planning on starting, was talking about Curse of the Allflame, while we collect chat's questions and then dive into some of the other things: Mirage, Abyss, Legion, balance, crafting. There's a lot of things to talk about today, but obviously the biggest news is the socket color change. It's the one everyone kind of seems to want to know about from what I've seen. It's a weird one because it's such a long-standing tradition, and there is I felt like the initial I feel like I should be mad or something, but I was like, but I'm not. I'm curious. How did this one come about after being unchanged for so long?
We actually discussed this change on Mirage launch day.
Yeah, so, it needed to happen.
Often on just to give some history to it. So on launch day, when there isn't a burning fire,
nice. We're
all sitting there designing okay, what are we doing next? What are we starting on a Monday? I know people think we have a long plan ahead. We don't. Launch day is when we design the next set of content. And a thing that we decided is we worry the message now is that PoE 2 is for the new audience and PoE 1's for the existing audience only. And it is obviously for the existing audience, obviously. But we also want to make sure we're bringing in new players. And we want to make sure that that audience is growing. Because if you aren't growing the audience, it's only got one way to go, right?
Right.
That's down. Now, hopefully, it'd be naive to assume it can just sustain the exact same numbers forever with the exact same players, right? People do eventually move on.
Yeah.
Whatever. So we want the audience to grow. And so when we actually go and look, well, when we were discussing this with Mirage, we're like, let's actually think, why are people, getting into the game and then stopping playing? What are the points of friction and where we're losing the audience? And sockets is a huge one. Now, we had already discussed this for PoE 2 because PoE 2 removed skill gems off gear, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of already were a bit educated in this, and we're but the line we drew, some people were like, why not remove them entirely?
There's already people doing
like you did with
it,
PoE 2.
But I want none of it.
There are, I would say, I feel this way, and a number of people feel this way when first playing PoE 1. Fifth, sixth, whatever, long time ago.
A decade and a half ago.
There were two things about the game that really caught me and my group of friends and propagated along, and maybe you guys feel the same way, I'm not sure, which was, I opened the passive tree and fell in love, and I also was like, holy, skills are in your gear and the links are in your gear. That's awesome. That's so, the innovation behind that is so cool. So not wanting to lose the skills and sockets in gear in PoE 1, I think is, it's a personal line, sure, but I think a lot of people share it, of not wanting to lose that entirely, but also it doesn't need to be having so many layers of friction.
Yeah.
So obviously you got the numbers, you got the links, and then you got the colors.
And often what we're finding is that, sure, seasoned players, veterans, they work around it.
This is word for word what I said.
But, or honestly, they don't even necessarily. I talk about the gear upgrades. They don't even. Sometimes you don't even need the gear upgrades. You know, you can just once you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. But yeah, we're finding a lot of players early game who are struggling, who are trying to get those gear upgrades, just can't, and often it's because of the colors.
Yeah.
And so we're like, well, we want to remove that friction, but also we don't want to just like simplify it down to nothing, because we still want in-game players to have an access of itemization that's important. And so we're like, we still want the colors to come in. We still want it to be important for upgrading your gear. We want it to be a chase end-game thing players can do. And we honestly think that this hits both of those, and it now allows a lot of people to get into the game easier. Make upgrades of their gear without going, I don't know what to do. Like my gear's been the same since level 3 because I can't replace this, or like one piece of gear or another piece of gear. And because they don't want to break their links or their skills or their support. So yeah, honestly, that's where it came about. And but the broader discussion is like, we need to get people in the door. We need to get people to stop quitting. And we need to have like when they get overwhelmed and they're like, I don't know what to do. It feels complicated, and this was part of that. So, you know, I wouldn't expect this to be the last change along that axis of us going, let's remove these barriers of entry. You know, in the future we want to make more. But yeah, honestly, I think
huge W.
You know, generally speaking, almost everyone internally has been pretty positive, but everyone has that. Whoa, you're changing this sacred thing. And even we had it. When we were in the room, we're like, oh, are we doing this?
Are we allowed to do this?
We're like, what? Do we need to, you know, like, hold on, do we need to like call a council of the founders here? Like, do we, what are we supposed to do here? Like, can we make this change?
That basically did happen. Yeah. Like, you guys called around to some of the other people.
Yes, we did, yes. Yeah. So it was, even we were like, are we allowed? But then also I think it is really important that we can reassess these fundamentals and actually go and say, nah, this needs to change.
It does.
Now, hopefully it's amazing, and hopefully everyone finds it to have less friction and late game get better itemization and all of that. But, you know, these things, if they don't quite land, we're always just going to make another iteration and change it. That's what we do.
I was like, so I've done a playthrough of the campaign while here, and I with this in particular, because I had that feeling like, oh, it's so sacred and so ancient. I feel like I was coming at it from an angle of being hypercritical, looking for any potential issues with it, but it felt like it was just so much easier to change gear and swap my gear around. Like, ultimately, that's the thing. You talk about this for a lot for new players, but I see this as like a huge win for long-term players, because playing a game for over a decade, you start to notice these kind of points of exhaustion is kind of what I think of them as, where you're like, oh, this just grinds me down a little bit each league.
That is something I did. It was intended for a newer audience, but 100% all the feedback from Alpha, from internal, you know, our designers and QA generally has been like, hell yeah.
It just makes the campaign smoother. I'm using a greater variety of gear. I'm upgrading my gear more often. It feels good. And the quality one surprised me a bit, because that is actually like you don't usually interact with quality at all in the campaign. You're not going to get any GCPs until end game, right? But that I was actually kind of looking at the quality on my gems, and
people who say they aren't are full of shit.
I'm getting an extra spark on my spark.
Like, no, I like all the colors and sockets. People saying that are just being
that felt like actually a pretty fun thing to engage with, and getting one socket color here and there felt like a meaningful thing. So
it worked out really nicely as an axis for still rewarding getting, you know, some of the correct colors.
Yeah.
Because quality innately is much more powerful on your active skill than it is your support gem.
Yeah.
So it's kind of okay if you only have a few of the colors, because you put your strongest skill in this, you know, you put your strongest gem in your links, which is your active skill, into the color that it matches. And then it's nice to get the other colors correct, but, you know, getting the other colors correct is like 5% increased damage, whereas getting the one color you really need correct, which is quite easy to do, is, you know, potentially an extra projectile or 10% more damage or something like that.
Yeah, every time a chrome dropped, I was like looking for a good base to drop that on, so that I could, you know, chuck a spark gem or something else in there.
It has the added bonus of there's another currency that's like, you know, it's not like a divine orb level ding when you drop it, but it's nice to see. You know, you're excited to see a chromatic now and then.
Yeah, it was kind of funny that like chromatic went from being like less valuable than, you know, jewelers and fusings to being the most value out of those now.
Yeah, just to clarify, chromatics are much rarer now than they were before.
Yes.
I won't say exactly how rare they are, but we've made changes to, like, for example, if you vendor a 6-socket item that has chromatic colors, You won't get 7 jeweler orbs, you'll get a chromatic orb instead.
Oh, I was wondering if there was some sort of recipe. I thought you guys might keep a secret or something.
Oh no, that's the existing chromatic recipe. That still works.
Okay.
But it has higher priority than the jeweler
Our list of recipes, if it meets 2 conditions, there's always it has an order of precedence. So we moved the chromatic above the
because
jewelers.
it's more valuable now. I see, that makes sense. Did you guys have to mess with quality at all now that there's going to be kind of 30% is just going to be somewhat wildly available now? Like, does that break anything?
No, it is basically a bit power creepy, but I think we had to make a number of changes to existing uniques that interact with socket colors, but I think the only one that really got a nerf was Diala's Malefaction. Instead of granting 30% quality to green socket gems, it's now 20%.
Okay.
But if you put a green socket gem in, it's 30%, which is what it had before, so...
and that's my follow-up question is there's uniques that interact with socket colors. Have these sorts of things been updated? In particular, I was like wondering, like, do you guys do anything with Tabula Rasa or just kind of leave it, I imagine? I don't know.
It didn't need to change.
Yeah, I mean, that one kind of just works, doesn't it?
Link, still a 6 link, yeah.
Still 6 link.
Yeah, what Skin of the Loyal and Lords, they just generate with 6 coloured sockets.
Yep.
So you still want to get the right colours, but...
Yeah, but it's much easier to actually use them now.
What else did you do? Pariah.
Yeah, so we audited all of them. Some of them we were like, this is not a good unique, we should buff it. So Pariah, for example, is one that is now much stronger than it used to be. Yeah, there's subtle changes, but in general, like the design of the uniques didn't really need to change at all, like Triad Grip and the Untouched Soul, those type of things.
I just realized this makes like a favorite thing for me is like early league buying like a corrupted 6 link and finding the right colors for that was sometimes tricky, but now like you can use any, right? Because you can put a blue gem in a green socket, you just don't get the bonus.
Yeah, Skin of the Loyals early league is going to be far more accessible now.
Yeah, cool. Interesting. So that inadvertently kind of makes 6 links much more available early league, it seems. It's like something maybe you wouldn't even really think about with this, but there you go.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Yeah, all right, cool. Volbs did a thing with sockets, so I imagine that changed, right?
Well, to clarify, when you do get a socket color, so for example, if you're using like a strength base type, you still have, when a socket generates, it's still got a much higher chance to be a red socket compared to a blue or green socket. So it still rolls socket colors based on the attribute requirements. Now, a Valorb does what it used to do before, where when it's generating socket colors, it can still re-roll socket colors.
Yeah.
I think instead of granting white sockets, now it does the inverse and it grants a colored socket. But that colored socket will just be a random red, green or blue. It won't care about the attribute requirements of the item.
So a way to get off colors or something, maybe. Interesting. I imagine the crafting bench probably changed. But then again, with chromes being more expensive, maybe it didn't need to.
So a chromatic orb guarantees a colored socket, but we also have crafting bench options which guarantee 2 colored sockets and guarantee 3 colored sockets, but for varying amounts of chromatic orbs. I can't remember the exact numbers.
And now that they're going to be much more valuable as well, that makes sense. It almost kind of solves itself there. Oh, super interesting. I look forward to seeing how people feel about that after they've had a chance to play around with it. But, my impressions of that have been pretty positive so far. If anything, like, I guess if there's any negative I could probably nitpick about it, it seems that maybe like it removes some of the identity from those items, mostly more in the campaign where you're not seeing their colors come up all that often. So like armor, energy shield thing is not necessarily as distinct from an invasion thing since you can change them around a lot more. Was that something you guys were worried about at all with this?
Not really.
You think so?
A little bit. I understand that it is, especially from the visuals.
Yeah.
But like the item holds itself, you know, and with respect to its defense type, its mods. But yeah, I mean, I get that. Almost everyone. I was just thinking about it now. Or I play with.
Oops, sorry guys.
I don't think I've seen anyone in a long time not play with sockets always shown. So I was just thinking that, like, generally when you're looking at an item, in fact, you're not really seeing its item art. You're just seeing a
just seeing the
combination of colors. So, yeah, generally you're going to be like, hey, this doesn't look like how it used to look. But I would honestly say that that doesn't need to be part of it. So it shouldn't need to be part of its identity.
Nice.
Even though I get that it will feel that way, for sure.
Well, I know this was the main change for this expansion, but on the side, in your spare time between working on Socket Colors, obviously you made this thing called Curse of the Oriflame. This is a pretty unique and I think delightfully goofy mechanic. It's definitely a weird one. At first I thought, it's delve but moist, but then that seems to be oversimplifying it a little bit. Because it's also got a little bit of a blend of other ideas, and it definitely seems to very much be its own thing.
Quick ad coming on.
I'm curious, how did this idea for this like Subnautica League come about?
Scuba.
You know what? Strangely, it actually didn't even start from the point of we should go to the ocean floor. What I wanted was a league where you're exploring in similar sort of to the Wildwood, because I like that mechanic, but like a league mechanic where you're exploring and trying to uncover things as you go. And it was originally going to be, I believe, like bestiary adjacent, where it was going to be in like the spirit realm where all the bestiary bosses are, and you're like clearing spirit fog. But that was not a thing that we had nearly the assets to be able to pull off nearly as well as like an ocean
20 seconds for
because you
ads. Yes, he's a tier 1 or prime on the channel, not get ads
the
for the
monsters
month.
in the game that pre-existed, and they're on the coast or they're near the shore or they're on an island, and therefore it's crabs and horrible squid creatures and starfish and all that. And so it just made a lot more sense to go with an ocean themed league, and from there everything just kind of exploded into being.
Yeah, a lot of that also inspiring. The same mechanic can often be applied to many different themes in different ways, and so a huge part of the win there, he's talking about ocean biome assets, creatures. Well, we had just done Act 4, right? So, and PoE 2, so all of a sudden we have islands and sea creatures and everything there, and it's like, okay, well, we like to reuse stuff and port it back and so we get to use all the modern art. The other thing is the environment artists are familiar with those assets. So when they're trying to put together all these things, they know exactly, and the level designers, they know exactly where everything is. Makes it way easier, and then you don't have to look through and find 13-year-old assets and stuff trying to go okay, how can I reuse this? And then, it's nice to have full art sets of modern art, because when you mix old things that aren't what we call PBR and non-PBR, when you have the old PoE 1 assets intermixed with the new modern assets, they stick out like a absolute sore thumb.
Oh my God,
going
the questions
in,
coming in
obviously,
are so
when you're
stupid.
picking a theme, it's often good to look, what art do we have? How can we use that or reuse that? Because then you get to make a hell of a lot more content for significantly less cost. So
Thank you, Aunt.
Kind of what helped inspire it, because we also
guys, we're gonna finish watching this,
and
then I'm
he
gonna
doesn't
go
necessarily
eat,
know what's
and then I'll
being
go
made
live
for PoE
again
2, and
at
it's
like
well, I'm kind of
9:30
the bridge,
before
and I'm
Torchlight.
Yeah, because you're fully on PoE 1.
Yes.
I'm not
And he's
just
like,
gonna sit here
well,
and
what monsters? And I'm
time
like,
wasting
well,
this
let
time.
me give you that. And it was just like, massive list. I'm like, go to this area, go to this area, go to this area, any of these will work. Big starfish and all that stuff. And so,
Sea otters.
yeah.
I love otters. So,
Yeah,
Otters?
Definitely caught me by surprise.
we had a task that we hadn't finished called Demon Otter.
Yeah. You didn't even point me at that. I went and found that one.
Yeah.
I felt slightly bad blowing up the otters. They're kind of cute.
Well, you can get one as a pet from the upcoming mystery
There you
box.
go.
I feel like I'm like, how did you find
Otters?
that? Are you just going into our issue tracker and typing otter every 3 days and waiting for something to appear? It's like,
I refresh the issue tracker at the start of each day because I'm curious what's being worked on, and I saw otter years ago,
Control F otter.
and it stuck in my head.
He's just got a script that just checks for him every day and alerts him, pings in the moment it goes in.
Hundreds of these things getting made per day. It's like kind of to just know to search for that is like really weird. So I don't know. I'm sus.
So, I mean, so you had some assets for it, but also if you'd done the Wildwood Einhari sort of thing, that sounds cool, but it wouldn't have been quite as unique as this. I think I don't think we haven't had this exploring the ocean floor thing before.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Is this a real boat league?
I was wondering, yeah, because you go into a boat, but we're not what makes a boat league? Does it just have to have a boat in it? Because that's a pretty low bar.
You have to be at
I'm
ocean?
not-
Do you have to
no,
be
no, that
fighting?
sounds like
I
it's
think
gonna
some
be
people draw
dirty.
the line at sailing. I think it has to be moving. I think you have to.
I don't think this counts as boat
They would
league.
say. Hold on,
Hold on, we'll get to that in a second.
Oh, you're rolling.
I think that a true boat league to some people is one that must induce seasickness. As in with like
that's your line.
screen wobble and like.
That is not what I thought you would
We
say.
have not done that this week. To be fair.
Thank you for not doing that. I feel like the true boat league has to have combat on a boat. We're gonna have some boarding actions or something, like some boat to boat cannons and
Noted.
blowing up.
Access,
Like a
yeah.
shrine.
Is it a town
Fishing.
area? I
It
guess you
needs
can't
fishing.
like spawn specters or anything. And
In the Deepwater hub.
Yeah.
Sorry, Deepwater was the working
Oh, we
name.
sent
In
out
the Curse of the
shipments
All-Flame
before
hub area
resources.
on
That
the
wasn't-
silver.
nope,
You
that's
can
not
drop items
boat
on the
league.
floor on the boat.
It
so.
is technically a combat area, so you could.
You gotta be on a
theory.
boat
Spawn specters there if
doing
you
boat
wanted to.
things.
Shoot projectiles out to sea.
Yeah.
I guess you can.
I guess.
Sorry, all right, but it was mentioned though, like does this
Fishing.
also
Got out
count? The same
fishing.
question could be asked of fishing. Does this count as fishing if you're on the ocean floor killing fish?
No.
Does that count as fishing?
No.
And does this tread on the toes of the existing fishing mechanics, obviously, as well? You would have had to have considered that. Did you confer with the fishing team when you were?
I think that going down and killing fish is not fishing.
True.
I think that's.
but what if you're holding a spear though? Oh, but we don't have spears, so it doesn't matter.
Perfect. Problem solved. So you're basically saying like dynamite fishing doesn't count
Yes.
as fishing then, for sure. It's 100% cheating.
It is important for us to clear up this because, like, we need to always be just almost delivering boat leagues, but not quite delivering boat leagues. So I just wanted to make sure we succeeded in our goals here.
There's this like grand plot of stringing along the PoE community for as long as possible for a boat league. Like
That's true. When I pitched the re-theme, Mark was very cautious. You know,
like, oh, we don't want to give him too much. We got to keep him coming back for the next potential boat league. I see what's going on here.
Yeah, it's like there's this tick box of league must have boat, and then indented boat must not move. You know.
Okay.
No. All right. Anyway.
Anyway, so this is a pretty big change from Mirage, which was in map and heavily intersected with like all of the existing mechanics. This is a complete opposite. This is a mostly out of map mechanic, and it's not required for you to understand how it intersects with other mechanics. Is it? I imagine there's like a good reason to kind of like alternate between the two almost as well.
yeah. So one of the benefits of Curse of the
Motor.
Elflame is that it's a very straightforward theme to understand. It's something that you don't really need to have a lot of grounding in the all of the minutia of Path of Exile to be able to understand. Ooh, go to ocean floor and find treasure in a submersible. That's just a cool concept, whether you are a PoE veteran or not. And it's also just kind of me liking to jump between things and work on very different concepts. Like, I can't say any specifics, but we already do have a very rough plan for what 3.30 will be, and it's going to go in a completely different direction as well. So, I don't know. I
True.
just have a lot of ideas that go all over the place, and I
Good.
good.
we like to alternate these things, right?
Yeah.
Like often out of league, out of map leagues are, they have room to be a bit more immersive. They have there's a whole world there.
Yeah.
Integrating things into map constrains what they can be. Right?
Yeah.
Like having
true.
a pocket of ocean in a desert it's a bit weird, so certain things can work, certain things can't. I mean, in the same sense that kind of having a desert as Mirage in an oceany biome can feel more like a forest biome can feel a bit weird, it allows you to create a more immersive world. Submersive world.
I see what you're doing.
Immersive. I don't know. I'm silly.
There are some lessons that have been taken from previous out of league mechanics, where obviously the biggest one is that the Atlas tree is this method of investment that can, lead to in Atlas content being able to be juiced to the gills, so to speak.
Yeah.
And we need a system that's, at least in what's the word I'm looking for here? In analog to that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the voyage system, which
No,
we can
not a
get into
breedable
in specifics
world.
a little bit later. But it's got multiple axes through which you can juice the content that you're doing to get, some quite rewarding voyages. And that's kind of meant to be the one-to-one allegory to that. Analog.
Yes. Yeah. That was going to be one of my follow-up
Okay, so the
questions.
big
is
complaints is
because you
people
have so
need to
many
know if we're getting new
axes to juice
scarabs.
things in maps. How do
That's
you
what the Doomers are
make sure
crying
that something
about.
like this has like a nice long tail to it? That is something you can get as invested in. So this has like some nice ways for you to be able to juice it.
And I mean, one of the other things is we have much more gradation in the level scaling. This is maybe getting too into the weeds, but like the mods that can roll on charts, there's a whole tier of the highest tier of rewarding mods that can only show up on I-83, I-84 charts.
Oh, okay, cool.
So if you are at the end game, then you get access to like even more rewarding, both charting and voyaging. And then there's some border mods that can only roll at the super high levels as well. And then, those border mods can amplify with the chart mods, can amplify with the adjacency mods, can amplify with the chart locations, which I'm getting too into the weeds now because we haven't really discussed any of that. But I like, I'm a PoE1 player at heart. I like lots of axes that all intersect and overlap and turn into a crazy encounter.
Oh my god, I hate this community.
When you make something like this that is out of maps, there is like, I feel like you guys expect and fully kind of know ahead of time that this is going to be more divisive than something that is in maps typically, right? Like this is something that is for the players that are going to love it. Is kind of the way that I view it. It's like some people are going to be like, oh, this is my life now. Like the people who just delve every league. So I imagine then. How does that kind of like shape the design of this? Like, I imagine you're like able to take more risks or something with it, be a bit more crazy with it to try and suit that.
I wouldn't say necessarily. Honestly, the way it generally comes apart is we're just like, that sounds like a cool idea, let's go with it. We don't really even think about the like overall risk and reward. Like we just imagine a lot of like, we would enjoy it. We imagine a lot of people would enjoy it. And yes, we definitely understand it's going to be more divisive. And that's why we make sure we alternate these types of leagues, or at least we thoroughly try to. And as said, 330 will be an in-area mechanic in map.
One of the other things that I'm definitely making sure is the case in 330 is there will not be a loading screen to do the league mechanic. I like Mirage, I like All Flame, but they have both now, to go to the hub area for All Flame, you need a loading screen because obviously it's out of map. And then Mirage needed one too, which was unfortunate.
To be clear, charts are fully tradable.
Yep.
You don't have to run them, you just stockpile them, right? And then go, like you can do days of mapping and then go do days of charting. The crafting system's kind of crazy. Powerful.
But we won't be nerfing it.
A way that it can be thought about as you get in Hinakora's locks.
Why do you have to put it like that? You make me nervous.
Because that's what it is.
Bro, it is.
So there is a very, very strong motivation to do it. And hopefully people were like, hell yeah, feels good doing it because of that. But we like to, even when we do out of area, in this case, it's not like you find it, you have to do it. You can find it, you run it later at your leisure, right? So you don't have to break your mapping flow all the time. Get the chart, move on, map, and then maybe start the next day with, let me go do a bunch of charts, do a bunch of voyages, right? Like, that's fully at your leisure. You can, that's generally how people play, and it's generally how I play. At Alpha, we're seeing the same thing. It's like, just... you have those people who might want to chart as they find them. You might have people who are like, okay, get to end of Act 1, do a bunch, just talking about a campaign. And having the freedom to be able to do all of that is pretty critical for the out-of-area leagues, I'd say.
Yeah, it seems like it's very free for you to determine your flow about how you engage with this. And for the map blasters then, who may be like, I don't really want to go do the charting and stuff too much, it has something for you in maps as well. Like, I think that's easy to miss.
I mean... obviously the bulk of the mechanic is the undersea exploration, but there are 3 different encounters you can find in maps that are what grant the charts. And importantly, I wanted each of them to feel like they were, worth engaging with, even if you didn't want the chart. So there's the Cursed Treasure Chest, which we showed in the live stream, that possesses you with a random tormented spirit when you complete it.
That's a fun one. I like that.
For the rest of the instance. There's a Brine Rot Pirate one, and when you complete that, you get a buff that gives you a chance for any gold you find for the rest of the instance to be duplicated when it drops. And there's the Crab Nest, and when you defeat the Crab Nest, whenever you kill rare and unique monsters for the rest of the instance, you spawn crabs.
You spawn crabs.
Which may not sound useful, but it's very good in Beyond maps.
It's a bunch of extra crabs popping out as you do it. And I mean, more monsters popping out of monsters is definitely some people's jam for sure.
Crabs.
Lots of crabs.
Oh man, there's a crab themed unique that we're going to show hosts in a teaser that I'm really excited for people to see. I'm sorry, I'm just baiting people by bringing that up. It'll be soon.
I was just thinking, I got to make sure to equip the crab armor set. play this.
Oh,
Grab
yes,
unique.
for sure. It's got to be done. Yeah, I saw some pretty cool looking uniques there, but we can leave those for your teasers and stuff
Sure.
because there's some pretty. You're definitely pushing what uniques can be in Path of Exile 1, I think, a bit, which is exciting to see. But you mentioned this like the crafting system. How does the reward structure for this mechanic
guys, I
works
want the
outside of
patch notes.
maps in the actual charting and voyaging? Do certain charts have like certain reward types? Are you able to target farm specific things?
So again, this is another point where I wanted to make sure there were multiple axes. So there's the Dead Man's Sulfur, which is the coral green glowing stuff that's in every single chart and voyage that you do.
Yep.
And that's the fuel for powering the new crafting system. And that is fully tradable. So that's like the baseline. This mechanic just rewards this all the time. And then there are special charts that you can find that lead to special things on the ocean floor that can give, any number of, arbitrary rewards, whatever we decide. So there's one that just has tons of chests of currency, which I'm sure people will like. There's one that spawns, as you saw in the live stream, a new kind of mercenary that you can only get from that room. There's one that leads to the, the new boss of the league. There's probably a bunch that I'm forgetting. There's a dozen to 2 dozen of those at least, and we do have some that might not make it into the patch, and we would put in a week later if they don't. So there might even be more coming soon after launch. And then the third thing is there's what we call a scattered object system in the league, and this is why I'm personally really excited to play, because it scatters a bunch of predetermined random rewards, like chests of currency or a chest with a unique, or the message in a bottle that we showed on the stream that you open and it just gives you some random valuable unique, or potentially I think a reflecting mist is what we showed.
Oh, I have some in here. We're
essences,
good.
strong boxes, golden lanterns that give you permanent rarity for the rest of the instance. Tons of stuff. We tried to get dozens of outcomes in there, and those are just scattered on the ocean floor, and they give you the feeling of exploring to try and find stuff. You're not going completely blind though. Every lantern that you place has a little indicator on it, and that indicator will point towards the nearest scattered object, nearest reward you might want. So you know where to go to place the next lantern to find a treasure chest or whatever it might be.
Yep. Yeah.
Something different to say the Wildwood, where you just go, I'm going that way.
Yeah.
This one at least gives you a guidance to go, I'm going to find something if I go over here.
Yeah. Now you don't know what the something is necessarily. It could be an essence monster or a strong box or a chest with a unique in it, but it will be something that you would want. It doesn't. Technically, there are also mines on the seafloor that explode when you step on them. They're not very frequent. The lanterns don't point at those.
Okay. You're not getting fully baited.
I thought that's what you're getting. I was like, they better not point at those.
Yeah, you're implying there's some sort of reward to get.
No.
Yes, some sort of reward, sweet release.
As again, the comparison to Wildwood there is that it ensures a minimum. You're getting something out of it.
Yeah.
As long as you follow it. As opposed to like place a bunch of lanterns, you're like, I just RNG'd and got nothing.
I mean, for me, it's the most addicting part of the league. Like, I love going in and, you can do a chart in like a minute, maybe 2, depending on how fast your build is.
They're really fast.
They're quite quick.
Yeah.
And so you go in, you find 2-3 chests, and then you rush back out, and you do it again, and then suddenly an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours has gone by.
Yeah, and I very much noted and appreciated that you did the week 1 quality of life patch before release with the auto placing of lanterns if you want. So you can manually place them, or you can just run into the water and it
that was done months ago. That was done well before release.
We're trying to do that though every league. Like always think, okay, what are people going to ask for on day 1, day 2, day 3, or week 1? What do they need? And like, let's get ahead of it and do it now. We don't catch everything, but
Yeah, you can't do an extent, can you? Yes, but you're definitely getting better at that, though. Has it been a bit tricky to kind of get the feel of this right? Like, so you've got this thing where you're like pushing these lanterns out, and then you've got the bubble collapsing thing for the extraction as well. Like, it seems like a challenging thing to kind of get a feel for, right?
Cast boss.
Yeah, I mean, it's had a lot of iteration.
So badly. I want to play
the
spells.
collapsing part, I do want to specify because it's something that comes up a lot in conversations I've had with
I just want to play
journalists
spells.
and people at the office and all that. The lanterns will never start just randomly collapsing on you. Like,
yes.
you know
there are frogs
when they are going to begin to collapse, because they only begin to collapse after you place your last lantern.
Yeah, it's not like flares and delve.
Yeah.
Like,
so
that's a
you
big
have
distinction.
you have infinite time to explore the areas that you've placed lanterns in until you place your last one, and then you have to get back to the bathysphere.
Yeah, and it's not really like a rush clear speedy mechanic ultimately. Like you can, you can do it fast. You can go fast, but it's not like
like I said, people on alpha generally are doing a chart in like a minute or less.
But
Pretty forgiving.
Yeah,
Like, which it kind of has to be, right? Like, if it is, if it's overwhelming for any of us, we've probably got the balance wrong, because someone's going to come into the game and just be like, I don't know what to do. Like, it is a thing where, you know, rewatching the live stream, I'm like, oh yeah, I could see people being worried about just drowning all the time.
No.
And yeah,
drowning is not meant to be a significant part of the mechanic. If you're dying in the all flame encounters, I would hope that you're dying to the monsters.
yeah.
And not to
Frog
drowning.
Prince Druid one.
And that is generally the case whenever, you know, I've died
Hopefully
when
never.
playtesting, and also when I've seen, you know, players playing on alpha and stuff.
Listen, people made
drowning
that frog
is
belt
really,
work. Not my fault. You didn't
it
play
really
it,
only ever
Missy.
happens if you are being like playing real dangerous and like, you know, trying to go out far into the water to try and get a chest or something.
There's frogs
which
in this.
is
They have the
part
same type of
why
thing. You can have a bunch of frogs
have
pop
those
out.
lanterns pointing at things, so you know where to place the lantern to get
And
the chest.
spells just got
so you
buffed,
don't have to be trying
so-
to do like rippy dangerous stuff by going out into the water a whole ton.
you'd have to have a serious panic, which to drown is what my perception. Like when I'm like, how would someone drown to this? But it will happen, I'm sure. But I think
Yeah.
you have to be having a little miniature crisis in order to have that happen, I'd say.
I feel like you'll do it once and then you'll learn from it. But if you're a hardcore player,
Yeah,
I
I
guess
only
you'll lose
drowned.
one character and then.
I only drowned once, and I was like, oh, that was a bit silly. I won't do that again. That seems like something to learn from.
Plenty
there
of
seems like
leaks.
there could be a
It's
bit of a
every
risk of
couple months
backtracking
for
with this.
the rest of our
people don't really,
lives.
enjoy long backtracking. But I noticed with the charts, you can kind of a lot of the time you're placing your things in a circle, so you're not really backtracking so much. You end up where you started anyway. But with the voyages, there might be some backtracking, or maybe not, depending.
So I feel I don't want to sound like I'm overemphasizing this too much, but the charts are quite small.
Yes.
Like by the time you've placed all, you get 7 lanterns once you upgrade your lantern count. By the time you've placed all 7 lanterns, you are maybe a couple screens away from where you started, maybe a little bit further than that if you go out in a full straight line. So the charts are meant to be like really bite-sized encounters. So like there is technically a small amount of backtracking there, but that is with monsters spawning as you're going back, and it's a couple screens worth.
There's a big difference between combatless backtracking and just
you're fighting monsters as the bubbles are collapsing around you. It's like it's an actual kind of exciting gameplay thing, and it's not even necessarily always the case. I noticed because in the voyage sometimes you're extracting basically where you are as you're leaving.
Yeah, so the voyages, they're built out of 9 different charts that you kind of stitch together, and each of them at their center has a place where you can leave. So you don't have to backtrack to where you started in a voyage. That would be insane and terrible. You get to leave at each of these individual chart locations, and like I said, the charts are relatively bite-sized, so that means you're never really more than, say, a screen and a half distance away from a place where you could leave when you want to go.
Yeah. Awesome. So this all flame crafting, how did you arrive at giving players like Full Hinakora Lockspur craft as your crafting system for this league?
Well, actually, originally it was going to
I don't really want to play Chaos this league, honestly.
I want to say similar
Unless
to Harvest.
Hexblast
I don't
got
want
Giga
players to
buff.
interpret that as like, you know, similar in power level.
I'd
It
really
may or may
love to
not
do
be.
some like cold spell,
but I mean
freeze
similar
build.
mechanically.
I
As
think
in
that would be
list
really
of
fun.
specific bespoke crafts that you
But
can do
we'll always end
for
up
a list
on
of
Chaos.
specific costs of that craft.
But I'd really like to do colder
But the problem with
lightning.
that is it
I'd
was
love to do
just
lightning.
too similar to things we've done in the past. You know, it is
I like lightning.
essentially
We just had
Harvest,
overdone it
but
with
wet.
Poe too. but
And that's not
I actually very like. I like stuff that
we
chains
had actually gotten
between
relatively
everything,
far along
right?
in the development of that,
And that's
I
why
was
I
like,
wanted to
this
play Arc.
is lame. We
Like, I
shouldn't
like,
do the
you
same
shoot
thing
something
again.
out,
Yeah.
and it kind of ping pongs around everything. That's like one of my favorite things ever.
It actually,
and if
the
I can
idea
make
for
it
the
do
all-flame
cold damage and
crafting splitting into
explode,
different forms came from the fact that originally
like that would be like my dream.
we were using
right,
the
do that
terms
with
all-flame
Chaos.
and
That's why I
ghost-flame
like
kind of
Cobra Lash.
interchangeably
But
in development, and ghost
But I'd love to
stuff
do that
gave
with
me
like a
the idea of
spell.
what
You
if you
shoot
split
something
into multiple
out. It's like
ghostly
a
versions
chain
of the
lightning
item,
type
what would
thing,
that
and then
mean?
explodes. Like I think that'd be
Okay,
So
sick.
it kind of came theme first, mechanic second.
It's thematically real cool. Yeah, I remember when you came to me and you're like, "Yeah, this crafting system sucks. We need a new one." And then you had a pitch, and I was like, "This is a good thing." Like,
Yeah.
some people get very caught up in their original designs and just try and see it through no matter what, and you just you go down into a vortex.
You're in too deep,
and
yeah.
you're like, oh, loss aversion kicks in, and like to be able to, as a designer, to be able to just be like, nah, gone, starting again, even if you're like 3/4 into the cycle, if that's what's best, that's what's best. And most people fail at being able to do this. So it's like,
Nice.
when you came to me for that, I was like, wow, okay, this is cool. I'm happy.
I did feel bad telling our lead programmer for the league, Jeremy, that your work, we're actually going to be changing it. Though a good amount of the infrastructure was able to be kept because it is still UI-wise very similar, where you like put in item, click craft to go. It just changed to now you also put in a currency with the item that you want to use it on or use on it.
The guy on the left looks so uncomfortable.
The main part of it is this splitting so that you can use an Exalt or something and then see 3 or 4 different
Thank you, all
potentials
the
for
followers
that,
coming in.
and then choose your best one, and that's obviously very powerful, especially for some of the bigger graphs. The intangibility system is kind of the counterpoint to that, like some sort of limitation on that. How does that work exactly?
Yeah, so not every single crafting step, but many of the crafting steps you can do, for example, in Exalt, will add some amount of what we call intangibility to an item. And it's just a value that will be shown on the item and ticks up. And the intangibility in the item is equal to a chance when you do another all flame craft on that item for it to only have one result, which effectively means you just did the craft with no extra bonus. So basically, what it boils down to is the more you all flame craft on one specific base, one specific item, the more and more difficult it becomes to continue to all flame craft on that item.
The guy, the guy on the right
there are some
used
ways
to be a
around this
streamer.
that clever people
It
in
would
QA
be
and
like if,
Alpha have found that things like
Fubgun just randomly went and started
because
working
if
there.
you take the mod you're trying to chase on the base
was
that
just
has
like
high
one of the guys
intangibility
that
and you
streamed
put it onto
Pow.
a new base that doesn't have that intangibility, now you can keep going, but there's some
Yeah,
risk
but
for
why
those
would they
things.
come here and do this? Then?
And then, Awakener's Orbs do a similar thing where it's, creating an entirely new base as the output. And there's also a Ducat, which is the new currencies that we've added that interact only with all flame crafting, that has a 50% chance to remove all your intangibility and a 50% chance to destroy your item.
Gotta have it.
Gambling is fun.
Yep. I guess on that note, the gambling side of things, it seems like the Vile Orb won't work with this.
No, it does not.
What's the reason for that?
It's both a case of balance because it's one of the ones that would be most insanely strong. We've tried to limit it as little as possible. I would say 95%, maybe even 98%. I don't have the exact numbers. Something like that. High 90s% of currencies work with this.
I would love to.
But also for me, I understand this is very subjective. Some people may disagree with this take. For me, it's a theme thing as well. Like, I really don't like this super special Vol magic just kind of working with weird ghost magic that doesn't hew together well in my mind. But that is very much me alone who is holding that subjective take.
Even just taking
for sure.
that whole random unpredictability and turning it into for normal mod like Exalting, for example, sure, there's going to be some good outcomes, but for the fact that
For sure, but you would think
you
that
can
if
take that
someone's
whole risk out of the
uncomfortable,
Valor,
that they
or,
wouldn't
like,
want to sit in
most
front
of
of the
it.
camera for 2 hours.
it's
right?
honestly just a bit demeaning. Like
He volunteered for this.
you would never use a Val Orb
They were
for
saying.
sure.
aside from this way.
Yes.
With this being the case. So that in itself is kind of bad. Now, however, I was like, if we had time, which we didn't, I was like, have it do something else. You put it in here and the two magics collide and who knows what
cross
happens.
the beams.
For sure.
The Valor just
And
says it
I'm gonna-
modifies
this is a very
unpredictably, so
good
you
way
won't be
to look at
lying if
someone
it did
and
something
think
unpredictable in
this
some other different
thing,
way, but
where the guy could
that was,
also just be high as
hopes
shit
too
right
high
now.
kind of
You
situation.
know what I
It's
mean?
too difficult.
One other,
Like-
I know this isn't pertaining to a specific
There are
question
a
you asked, but
couple
one other
layers
thing I
to
want to make
this.
sure is getting across, because it
Like,
was
I
too
think
in the
what
weeds
you're
to go
putting
into
is
the
a
live
very
stream,
nice way,
it is
which is
performing that
probably the
craft
right way
on
and
the
true,
original item.
but he
X
also
number
could
of
just be
times,
high
which
as
means
a
the outputs
fucking
are independent of
kite
one another.
right now.
So if I
and
had
now
an amulet that
trying
I'm
to
trying to
anchor
annul,
himself
for
by
instance,
looking at
I
Ziggy.
could have each output. It's unlikely, but each
Right?
output could
Like,
annul the
there's a
same mod.
very
Like,
real
they do not- the
possibility
outputs do not care
that
about one
that's
another.
what's happening.
yeah.
In theory, with an
Because
exalt,
he's
you
been
could
on
exalt
here
the same
before
mod on all the outputs.
and been
That's
totally
stupid
chill.
unlikely, but it could happen.
But it looks
So
like
if that
he's a
happens,
little,
don't add us. It's not broken.
little nervous this
That
time
is how
around.
it is meant to work. It is doing the crafting step of the currency item on the
Bro
original
could have had
item
a
X
nice
number of
little,
times.
Doesn't mod block itself effectively.
Little brownie,
that,
maybe,
that makes sense for
before.
sure. What's so
Right.
the main part of it is this like splitting into separate things, but there is some unique stuff to it as well that can occur at times.
Well, that's mostly the Ducats.
So they're saying
which you can
apparently
kinda
he
just think
stayed up
about
for
each
like
of them
3
as a new
days
bespoke
straight
individual
to
currency.
do
So
the
there's
balance on
one
the
that's
skill
like-
gems.
Yeah, there's the
So
one that's
he
like
could be
you
coming
take
off
an item with an
a
attribute roll
solid
and turn it into
bender right
another attribute roll. You know, strength becomes int or whatever. So those
sorry.
are basically.
But
We
yes,
had a bunch of
the way
ideas for
you're
the original
saying is
Harvest-esque
definitely
version of
very
the
nice,
system, and some of them
you know,
have been
the poor
implemented,
guy.
and some of them were just
But
cool ideas.
there's-
And it's like, where can we keep that? Okay, we just make new currencies that drop
But
from the
there
league
is a
mechanic that
very
work with
good
all flame crafting.
Nice, there you go. Transported them
It's
over.
just high
There's
as
a
a
question from
fucking
chat
kite
about
right now.
reflecting mist with the new crafting system. I meant it would be like Varlob, and
He's like,
that wouldn't
Ziggy,
work. But
Ziggy, the place is
Anything
we're
that's actually one
underwater
of, the,
right now.
one of the few limitations. Anything that outputs more than one output does not work with all flame
He's just
crafting because
trying
it
to
simply
keep his
can't.
because it
grounding.
would, you did
There's
like,
nowhere to put them.
you'd need like a bunch of 2 items.
You ever seen-
things.
You'd have
For that
inventories
movie,
all over your
Get Him to the
screen.
Greek,
You put a mirror of Kalandra in, and then you
Yeah.
only get 1 item back. So
like when
Okay.
Jonah Hill and Russell Brand are like tripping
This
out,
is not something that
like tripping
anyone
balls
should
hard
do.
or whatever.
But
And then with
technically, a
Diddy,
scouring orb
remember
works.
Diddy was in that? Oh my god, dude. What happened?
Why?
Yeah, strip the furry
won.
wall.
Yeah,
Strip the
so
furry wall. It's
gonna do
like
that.
exactly.
Sure.
Why not?
This
Hey,
is
Ray
sulfur food.
Lazy,
Just
thank you for
throw
the
away
raid.
sulfur.
Yo,
Yeah.
everyone,
That
big
base type
shout
looks
out
exactly
to
the same as
Lazy.
that base type look.
Holy,
This
dude.
one looks better than those ones. I'm
Yeah, so
confused.
I'm going to take
Hold
number
on.
3.
We're
Gonna
big shout out to Lazy, probably one of the best build makers in Path
as a
of
side note, thanks for the
Exile.
attribute swap mechanic as well.
Huge
Like, I saw
patch,
the
guys.
Ducat for
We
that
got
swaps attributes.
an
I-
amazing,
one of my favorites is the
amazing
resistance
patch.
swap.
And
Just
if
like,
you're looking,
fantastic
if you're
addition for,
looking
like, gear
for
puzzle
one of the
solving
best
and making
league
it easy to,
starters
like, swap
ever,
your gear
go
with
check
stuff
out
you find
Lazy
as well, as well
Exile.
as gear lock-in with
I
resistance swap.
promise
think
you,
attributes
I
will help that
promise
too.
you, you will
I
have
kinda
one
wonder
of the
if there's,
best
like,
league
other
stars
things
you
like
could
this that might
ever
exist.
ask
I
for
can't
if you
think of
play
any,
one of her
but-
builds.
Isn't there a
Every
PS2
single time
something
she
that
puts
allows
out a
you-
build,
maybe I'm
it's an
wrong, I just didn't make
absolute
it in,
fucking
which,
banger.
in that
Every
case, I'm
time.
sorry.
She never puts out one that isn't.
Something that allows you to swap
Every
like,
single one of the builds
cold
I've
damage on
played
weapon
that
to
she's
being
put
fire
out pretty
damage.
much, and every single
yeah,
time,
so
That would be
smooth
one
as
other
butter.
case. That's not quite
Cannot
the same, though,
recommend
because
enough.
that's-
Cannot
you're
glaze
changing
her
the
enough.
identity of
It's
a build, but it is
unbelievable
solving
the
a
effort
problem
and
in a
time
build.
she puts into it.
Yeah, I kind of view the attributes and resistances that problem solving.
Welcome everyone. We're just going
no,
through. We were
the attribute one
laughing.
is actually slightly
So,
more interesting
you know
because what it
Octavian?
allows you is if you have a strength body type.
Do you guys
then
think
you can swap it to
Octavian might
dexterity or
be
intelligence, which is,
high
like,
as a fucking
technically
kite right
something
now?
you
Because
can't
dude looked
actually
like he
do.
was
Yeah, I would have expected
struggling
it to obey
before.
the rules
Like
still,
just
where
to,
it, like, oh no, can't do that, but you can actually
he was
just
like
swap
trying to
into any.
anchor
the old
himself
It's like older
Yeah,
to the
the
roof.
Seal Flame doesn't care about
No
the rules.
rules. Aside from
Except the rules that it has.
except for Valobs and yeah.
I guess the one caveat is that it doesn't
What
work
up,
with hybrid
everyone?
attribute rolls. So it
Bro,
won't do anything with
so
all
wait, hold on.
attributes 'cause there's
So
nothing to
when
swap
they
it to,
start
and it won't do
talking
anything with
again,
things
and he
like
starts
that give
looking
plus 10
around,
strength and
bro,
dexterity.
I mean, maybe
It
he
only
has
works with,
anxiety,
you know,
maybe he's nervous,
giving one
but there's like a
attribute,
very
turning into
good
giving one
chance
of
that
another.
that dude
Yeah.
popped a couple edibles
So
and is
let's
having the
change
fucking
topics a little
fighting
bit
for
here
his
to
life right now
Mirage, which was
to
announced
stay
to not
on
be
that
going
couch.
core in 329.
because he was a
But
lot
is it
more
something that you'd like to go
energetic
core in the
last
future? I
live
don't know if
stream.
you already announced anything about that.
Short answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you seemed pretty keen when
I
I was
know,
talking
right?
about it
We
before.
almost always let
Right?
a
Like,
league
look at him.
simmer.
He's just like,
There's a few reasons for
he's
that.
the goat, though, dude.
We
Did
like
you hear?
To
Yeah,
have
probably
our,
caught.
This is a
like,
more
motherfucker.
production internal thing.
He
but
said he did
we like to
150
have our live
skill
realm be
gems
as close as possible
more.
to our internal
Like,
realm.
I think.
Yeah.
Guys,
Right,
this is
and
nuts.
so
This
if
league's gonna be
we've-
nuts.
Let's say
It's gonna be actually crazy.
Let's say we have animate fixes to the live realm. We have to be
We
open to
haven't
be
even
able to
seen
make fixes
patch
to the live
notes
realm.
yet.
So
This
if
is
all
gonna
of
be
a sudden we've
crazy.
redone the code base to not be a league and instead it's now core, we've made all these changes
He's
and
such a
everything.
pro gamer.
The capacity for us to then fix things on live becomes significantly harder.
So, yeah.
So that's like the production. So that would generally that doesn't matter in the latter 2 months of a cycle, but in the first 2
Okay.
months it would be like we don't really want to do that. Otherwise, we don't have the capacity to respond to things going wrong on live. It's safe to say after 2
Yo,
months,
I think we're
not as
doing.
much goes wrong.
I'm doing spell. I'm
but then you've only
100%
got 2
doing
months
spells.
to now do all the
So
changes
they
on top of
buffed
the
the
fact
shit
we've
out of
got
self-cast.
this to
There's no
prepare,
way
we've
that we're
got
not
all the
gonna
other
play
content
spells.
coming in. So like
I'll be on Shadow.
adding
It's either
that
Shadow or Occultist.
in itself just
right?
caused us some
Occultist got
problems
some
for
good
us. We were
buffs
like,
too,
oh,
it looks like, for
the-
spellcast.
how
We
can we
gotta see
figure
patch
out
notes,
how
guys.
we can make these
We won't know
changes and
anything
get
till
them on
patch notes.
live without
Wait, it's my
like,
jungler doing? Look at it.
Hey,
to
Dart,
my-
thank
look at my
you,
jungler.
thank you,
even
thank you,
What the
buddy.
hell?
I love you,
live,
Dart.
and
You're
so
the goat
it's
as
a
usual.
more like it's
Cold
something maybe
Dot's
the
looking
players don't
real,
really often
dude.
think
Lazy,
about because it's really
lazy.
a
Oh my god, that's so
proper
funny.
exclusive
Yeah,
to us
oh yeah,
internally.
Lazy has a Cold Dot build, guys.
But
Thing's
yeah,
an
like,
absolute banger. I
The
actually
league
played
worked.
it.
I think the other
not
problem
long
you were
ago.
mentioning as well, I heard you bring out was like
So
the fact that it's
hold on.
multiplicative
Hold
with
on, hold on. We
everything
got a
and
Zinnies
affects
and break.
every
All right.
league, it's like, are we
All right.
going to sign ourselves up for the maintenance
Cold
here?
Dot. I have
will
a
it
feeling,
like
Lazy.
Hyperion,
I
but
think we're
more?
going to see some fucking
Yes.
sexy patch notes about Cold
I
Dot.
do
I think we're
want
going to see
that
something
maintenance.
crazy
I
in there.
want
Now, I don't know if
Mirage
it's
in
going
the
to be
game.
about brands,
Nice.
though.
But I want to
Because I
do
know,
it in
I'm
a
pretty
way,
sure
I want to
doesn't
make sure that we
GGG
have
hate brands?
assessed it
Like they
so
regret
that it's
brands.
done in the way that is the least
That's why they don't want to bring them
hampering
into
to
Po
future
too.
development of leagues. Because if every league going forward that appears in
All right,
maps
hold on.
needs to interact with Mirage, which it will need to, because it'll feel lame
Oh,
if
they're
it
talking
doesn't,
about Mirage.
then we need to make 100% sure
I
that
think they
however
are
we're
going to give
implementing
Cold
Mirage
Dot more
now
love. I think dots in
doesn't,
general are going to get more
continue to
love.
pester us and bite us in the ass for the next 15 leagues that we make. So I think it's very important that we carefully take the time with its implementation.
There's even the question of should the active league get
That's true,
manipulated by Mirage, or will that make Mirage feel 100% mandatory because
Yeah.
the
It would
active leagues
make
in every area and
Let's-
it,
yeah,
it's
let's
kinda
keep it a
it's
buck.
getting into that
There-
realm of like when we had
Mirage
passives
would be
for the active league on the
100%
tree and they felt
mandatory for
mandatory
every
'cause it
one of
was
your
always
maps
there, and it's
if
like,
they added Mirage.
got to be careful with that. So
100%.
probably not, unless you can do it in a way that's
Like,
flavorful and
there's
not
no world
necessarily
there you wouldn't
rewarding.
have to do Mirage every single
but
fucking league.
It will come. There's some decisions we need to make and time to do it, of course. That's
Yeah.
always the main constraint, time.
There is another question of if Mirage is even like an investable mechanic on your Atlas tree. Like we
Yeah.
could implement it similar to like the Asmeri Forest, where it's just something that randomly appears in your maps, and then
It almost sounds like that might be a better idea for
Yeah.
this one, because like it's really good news that it's going core. People seem to really like Mirage quite a lot, but it is one of those things that it seems like it has a danger of becoming like there's an issue in PvP at the moment with like cities feel like they're mandatory. Like you have to have like if you're going to do your juiced content, you've got to do it in this thing because it's just so much stronger. So I could see the same thing being with Mirage. It's like, oh, you're crazy to not do that, and then it becomes another tier 17 kind of issue where it's like, oh, you need to do your juiced in that, or you're just wasting it.
yeah, I feel like the Asmeri Forest sort of avoids that problem because you don't know about it. And if
Yeah,
you're investing
random,
lots of
yeah.
like very expensive scarabs into it, then it's not like you're gonna just keep fishing
Ooh,
maps until you
Scarab's
find
matching,
it.
guys.
Yeah, and it's just it's just a super exciting win when it does.
They're
happen.
definitely gonna give
It's not
Cold
something
Dot
you can
more
plan
love,
around
though, for
necessarily.
sure.
So I imagine that's probably the
I
route.
suspect
you
most
wanna
people
go.
really just want to know when they're getting their shrine belt back.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that was my follow-up questions. Is like with that not going core just yet, but maybe in the future. In the meantime,
Okay,
there's a
here
few
we
things
go.
that people are pretty excited about. We'll start with Screams of Desiccated, then like the.
So the uniques will not be going core just yet.
Ooh.
There are a few other bits and pieces from Mirage that will be going to core, though. Just earlier this week, I added Atlas passive support to Heist for the blueprints that
Okay.
have the special implicits that
cool.
guarantee certain rewards at the end of blueprint wings.
Okay, as long as you get some of
I
the
think
currency.
Andrew did some stuff as well.
Yeah, so in sort of where like volatile valves are super cool. I
Yes.
wouldn't want to just.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
They're staying.
I think what we'll do is we've currently moved them to Sanctum,
Yeah,
so
I
it's a way
agree,
of making
Ryan.
Sanctum more rewarding.
a bit more unique as
Oh,
well.
And I feel
they're in
when
Sanctum?
if Mirage goes core, we will probably keep volatile valves as a Sanctum exclusive reward.
Right, yeah.
The other one that we moved was the crystallized rancor.
Oh god,
that
I gotta
was
see
the
what
one
they're
that enabled
saying.
all the new like the minion harvest craft.
Giga hell. Yeah, I knew
that
it.
comes from a new Atlas anomaly. I think it was in
Sanctum.
the live stream. There's like the big
Sanctum
harvest is
does
returned.
suck.
So
Sanctum
when
sucks big time.
you
in
get a
Part
boss in
1.
one of those, they always drop the crystallized rancor.
Nice, cool. And this is letting you kind of make these things a little bit more distinct as well, which has always been a goal to give each thing their own rewards.
We are
Guys,
doing
that
more
break
and more
starts
and
in
more
5
of that.
minutes.
and
Reminder,
people-
you can
see that
either
with, like,
Prime
Legion
on the
and
channel
stuff like
or
that.
Tier
So,
1
by the
Knock It
way,
ads for
we
Torchlight
have a goal
and
there,
Po 1.
which is
Po 1.
ultimately two things. One of which is certainly more ambitious. But the idea would be that every
Sacrament
single
is
league
so much better
that
than
you can invest
Sanctum. It's
into,
like insane the difference.
as opposed to ones that exclusively randomly spawn
Yeah,
necessarily.
Sanctum's just-
every single league
Sanctum
you invest
needs an
into has
update.
exclusive rewards.
Yep.
That is goal
I think
one.
they will.
Goal 2 is every single league you can invest into on the Atlas in particular has a pinnacle boss. And that's the way more ambitious. We will see if so going there with Abyss now as an example, and the idea that
Holy.
eventually we will add more and more and more and more of them. That one, of course, is significantly more difficult to achieve. So I would expect more leagues to get exclusive rewards, and I would expect less leagues to get bosses in the short term, but eventually that would be the ideal goal.
Awesome.
Some already have them, some. And by the way, I wouldn't consider B Series 4 Spirit Beasts a pinnacle boss. Like They're just some animals that are ghosts. Like it's not, because it's too dated, it's too old.
I mean, there's even some more recent things
Yeah,
that
I
don't quite
agree,
live up
Avery.
to that. I would love to explore what a Mercenaries of Charthus pinnacle boss means.
Ooh.
No promises anytime soon, but just personally, I would love to see what that even is.
Yeah, of course. I've got ideas.
Looking forward to seeing what those are. Refracting Fog is getting asked
God,
about
dude,
from
I
Mirage
hate
as well.
this
Is that something
community
that's
so
going
much
forward
sometimes when you see some of these comments.
Unless you did something along those lines, Andrew, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of the other Mirage exclusive currency is cooling off for a league. So the Refracting Frog and all the Coins of Power, those type of things.
There's a waiting until kind of Mirage goes core.
Yep, and we'll
That's
reevaluate
okay
then
about
if we
Coins of
want to
Power.
keep them in Mirage, keep them in the game, or move them somewhere else.
I know we had a bit of a track record of saying things will go core, and then they, we got now we've got Mirage on the list, we've got Harbinger on the list. Then the others that are we had Mercenaries on the list.
Toda, maybe.
Toda
I don't
was
know.
one.
Listen, hey,
but the
everyone watch
idea
out. There's a bunch of people here.
We were like,
is
okay,
anyone
we're
gonna
getting too
play
many
the
things
new,
that we're saying we will eventually
Zion?
do. Let's actually try and do some of them, and then we're like,
Very few
okay,
communities
Mercenaries
that
is
I
the
like.
one,
Yeah,
so
I
that
know, right?
at least we're getting that done. I want people to be
These
reassured that we're not
players.
just building up an eternal list of stuff
Is
we're
anyone
never
going to play the
bringing
new
back.
Scion just for the mercenary? Like,
I will
do
at least
the
say
sport
we
thing?
are
It kind of sounds like an
actively
interesting
working on
experience.
Harbinger, right? I don't want people to think that's ignored. So just before everyone, I don't know why that would
Like,
come up
you could
again,
just be
but
a full support
just
character.
saying, these things are coming. We're not just doing a soon TM situation.
Yeah, those Darth
You
guys.
touched on Abyss as well, and so that's getting a pretty major rework with some nice gameplay updates there. But something that you touched on was that rewards are PoE1 structure, though. Like, they're not being copied over from PoE2.
Yeah, I bet that's going to be nuts. Yeah, I wouldn't
yes
league
and
start it.
no. So
First of all,
Abyssal
Scion League
sockets,
starts tough,
Stygian
guys.
Vises,
It's not,
Abyssal Jewels,
it's not
those all still
tough. You
exist
can
and
do it.
exclusively
It
come from
just...
Abyss.
Right.
However,
I don't
the
know. I don't-
chests
I
that
don't
spawn
love
at
League starting
like,
Scion,
rise up out of the
honestly.
ground
Right,
when Abyss is
yeah.
complete. Those are
It's, like,
more
kinda
varied now.
awkward.
So it's no longer just like, here's a rare chest that drops stuff. It's it's a currency
So
chest or a
that's
scarab
gonna
chest
take,
or
like, so many
a
maps.
weapon
Yeah,
chest or an
100%
armor chest or a
laser,
jewelry
100%.
chest. Like, it's more defined each time. So you get, and that's
Guys,
just
ads
better.
start in a
To be
minute
honest,
20.
like, that's
Reminder,
having
you
the
can
more
use a
defined
Prime on the
rewards
channel
gives
if you're
you
an
those
Amazon
moments of,
member.
"Ooh, I
Costs
got
you
a scarab
nothing. Supports
chest."
the channel.
And even when it isn't
If
the
you don't
case,
use it
maybe
here,
when you're
use it
leveling,
somewhere. Use
you
it on Lazy
might in,
Stream. Use it on
X6
someone's
or
thing.
something, be
Make
excited to see a
Amazon
weapon
pay
chest
so
when
you
your
don't
weapon is kind of crappy.
get ads
And
and it
did I hear
costs you
there's like a
nothing.
bunch of new uniques with this as well?
There are 6 and a 7th that people can fight.
Pick 7!
Some secrets.
I think
So
that-
wait, the 6 can't be found.
No, a 7th that people can uncover how to get. Let's put it that way.
And just to be clear,
did that on
I
purpose.
realize this is a little bit confusing in hindsight. There is a new pinnacle boss. There are still the
7.
liches.
Yep.
They are
Okay.
still there. And they still have their drops, so it is entirely new pinnacle means new uniques, and a mysterious one.
And the Delve, this is maybe a little
Secret one, eh?
hyper specific, but the Delve Abyssal City still has the old Abyss monsters if you're feeling nostalgic.
Oh, okay. Nice.
League
Guess
Start
you missed
Shadow's
those.
probably happening.
I did feel that about Breach a little bit at one
But
point.
we'll
there,
see.
so
I would love
that's
to
nice
do an
hear.
occultist start, honestly.
People are a bit worried about things like invulnerable snakes and weird smoke cloud mechanics coming over as
Wait,
well.
guys,
with
nothing
this change.
matters
That's
till we
kind
see
of
the patch
That's
notes.
the
We
potential
can't-
downside
we
of what
won't
is
know.
like otherwise a very exciting thing. Is that going to be the case here?
I arguably spent too much time, not arguably, definitively spent too much time on the Abyssal monsters
The
as we
6-7
ported them
meme?
back.
There is nothing to
giving
understand
most of
about it.
them new skills.
It doesn't
Yep,
mean anything.
Entirely. Like,
Okay, yeah.
It's
that's-
just brain rot.
I just really like making monster skills, and
Alright,
I
ads are
was like,
starting.
hey,
guys.
I can do this quick because it's done in paying this out in 2-3 weeks. It was not 2-3 weeks.
Over
You
a
came,
minute
to me,
56.
you came to me one day and you're like, I've made a mistake.
yeah.
I've spent too long
Thanks,
on
Lazy. Hey,
this
thank you so much for the raid. Again, big shout out to Lazy.
Okay,
Guys,
wrap
check
it up,
her out.
stop,
She's
move
got
on.
amazing
Right, like, what can we do?
Fantastic.
But they do have new skills. So,
Right.
there's no
We'll
breakdancing
be live again
invulnerable
later
snake
for
woman.
Torchlight Infinite also.
which
for
is the
any
sentence
Torchlight
that I get to
enjoyers.
say
We'll
as
be
part of my
live
job.
tonight for it.
And
So we're gonna wait for patch notes, go over
but,
the patch notes, and then
now you get to learn what the
take a
new
break
skills
for
are.
dinner,
that,
and then we'll
the
regroup.
Abyssal
I'll go
monsters
stream
will have
again
you in
for
PoE1.
Torchlight
That's,
tonight.
that's excellent news. And that's making the games more distinct while like taking some of the good stuff from PoE2, but keeping PoE1 its own thing. That's really cool.
That was kind of the original impetus. That, and I do personally like working on monster skills, but I personally very strongly feel that when we're taking from PoE2, which is a thing we should definitely do, if we don't, then we're not going to have the resources to deliver big enough, cool enough leagues. We should do
Yeah, why
as
wouldn't
much
you?
as we can to make it feel distinct in PoE1.
So you might see a monster that looks familiar, but it's going to do all different things.
Oh, yeah.
It's exciting.
Reuse the art, adjust the game design is generally the philosophy
Cool,
there,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? That makes perfect sense. Absolutely. So another I was kind of surprised with just how much like stuff was going on in this, because you also have a Legion kind of set of
Legion. Yeah, the
improvements as
Legion
well,
thing looks great with the
a whole
uniques,
new
being able to
reward system for
combine them.
that, which is exploring something that you've been doing a bit of lately, which is being able to modify uniques, which is always kind
Huge
of exciting and
W.
interesting.
They're so exciting being able to
what
modify
unique
uniques.
modifiers can be ported over to a new item with this new Legion unique crafting system?
Drew's territory.
Well, to clarify
Really good move,
first,
cheap out on
there's
that
5
one.
different
Yes.
crystals that can drop. Each of them is
100%.
associated with one of the Legion factions.
Okay.
So, for example, the Marraketh faction drops one that allows you to enshroud your unique body armor items.
Okay.
So it's only armors. You can't
Juicy.
do it on jewelry, you can't do it on weapons. So you have shields and gloves and helmets and boots as well.
Yeah.
But you can enshroud
no
any
binos.
unique armor in the game that isn't corrupted, I don't think. So you can take boss uniques, like
You can't create boss uniques.
no,
No.
you can't create boss
No,
uniques.
yeah, that
You
would
can
be
go
you
from
can
consume
boss
boss
unique.
Yeah, you
You
wouldn't
can
want that.
take a mod from a boss unique, and it's effectively like you applied an ancient orb to the item. So
Yeah.
it will randomly transform into a new core droppable unique, like a lightning coil or something.
That's so cool.
And the implicit will be the boss unique.
That's so cool.
Or one of their mods, yeah.
So you can do like
And that
nimmies,
is
right?
an implicit, so it competes with like Val orbing.
Yeah.
This is an alternative to Val orbing.
Yeah.
Unique.
I might be jumping ahead here, but I will say, I'll say at the moment we've done a big pass on Val implicits. So Val implicits also are much stronger than before.
We will explore that a little
Yeah.
bit in crafting
So-
for sure.
It's not entirely super duper power creep, but you'll definitely there'll be some combinations of these unique items that you'll be really looking for.
Cool. Don't worry. We'll touch on that in a bit.
The balance of the vestigial uniques, the balance is not. It's not like 1-to-1, right? It's
Where we can keep it 1-to-1.
oh yeah, of course.
We try to keep it 1-to-1, but for example, something like Comb's Heart, we aren't sending 1,000 life across to the new item. I think
No
it's like
1,000 life lightning
I
coils.
think
That's
it's
a lot,
like
though.
it's
Yes.
like 250, I think.
250 life lightning coils, pretty good. That's
good.
kind of juicy.
I mean, I'm excited for Facebreaker with Doriani's touch.
Right.
That's my build.
Yeah.
Decided right there.
So it seems like this is only taking
Holy.
the definitive mod off the unit,
Holy.
not just like some
It's
random.
usually
thing that's
a
lame.
single specific mod. So if an item has like 5 different mods, there's only one
Yeah, could you
specific one
Headhunter
that
Mage
will
Blood?
port over.
So you'll kind of know.
Yeah,
all the
there's a
time.
few cases like Shaper's Touch and 3 Dragons where they've got
I mean, I
like a
guess you have to
cycle of
hit
3
it.
mods
Right. Yeah.
where it will
No, you
randomly pick
couldn't
one of the
run that,
3,
right.
but generally it's just one specific mod.
Yeah, that's fun. So the flavor, the main thing, the thing that you care about typically is going to be the thing that comes over there. That is very exciting. I quite like this unique crafting stuff. It's
cool.
good to see you exploring that.
I'm really. I guess it's somewhat similar to Elder's Legacy, right? Like a little bit.
The funny thing is, I think we designed these independently because we figured this out pretty early on in League development. So this would have been like 4 months ago or so that we figured out this
Yeah.
is what we're doing for Legion vestigial items. And then I was talking to David, who's one of the PoE2 designers, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we have this really cool thing where you can put a rune that takes a unique mod and puts it on another unit." It's like, what?
You
We're
stole
doing
our
that in
idea.
PoE1. But it does feel very different, to be fair.
Yeah, so I feel like this same concept is like all of a sudden being explored from a bunch of different angles by different people, which is kind of cool because you're going to arrive at a bunch of cool ideas that eventually you can.
It's
Compared.
the actual literal case of the great minds. Well, just minds think alike. I wouldn't say we're great. We're just we're just minds.
Come on. So that is like a
Mark's
pretty
so
exciting
cheesy.
new thing that you can do with Legion. But with incubators being removed, which is kind of like a lot of the baseline reward for Legion, doing Legions in maps, do you feel like the raw reward value of Legion will still be there? Is that being kind of compensated in some area?
Yeah, well, personally, last league I actually ran a lot of Legion, so I knew like the pain points especially.
Yeah.
And I was flooded with so many incubators. I literally had to filter out like 95% of incubators.
Yeah.
Dude,
Very
I know
few
you
of them
guys
I
all do
felt like
Legion.
actually gave
Or
much
at least a bunch of you have.
like value, and I just was annoyed that every few maps I needed to apply 10 currency incubators.
Yeah, I think this is a good change.
So I
for
don't
sure.
think you're losing too much. You still have all the other reward icons. Like another thing to note is, I think it was mentioned is like Abyss jewels are now exclusive to Abyss.
Yeah.
Talismans are now exclusive to Talisman.
Yeah.
So Legion has a smaller
bestiary.
pool. A smaller pool of rewards means you are seeing things like currency rewards, scarab rewards, unique rewards more commonly because we've removed those other rewards.
Right, they're
from
not
the
being
pool.
replaced. Like instead of a random incubator that you're filtering out, it's going to be a currency box or something instead. So okay, that makes sense.
It's a nice side benefit of this whole, ongoing effort to get each league mechanic to give its own special thing exclusively.
Yeah.
Because it kind of incidentally buffs the rewards of other league mechanics too, Like, were you ever really excited to see an Abyssal Jewel from Tujin when you rerolled his shop? You won't see those anymore. And now you might be excited to find a high level Abyssal Jewel from Abyss because the market isn't flooded by a 1,000 people clicking reroll on Tujin every day.
Many
yeah, that's absolutely the right move. It gives people their
Astro
niches,
Labs,
their
I was
little
like the
thing to
only
be proud
guy
of. Like,
I
I'm
was
supplying the
buying
Abyss Jewels to the market.
When it comes to like conceptualizing this, I know like Andrew came in, he's like, I got these pain points. I want to improve some leagues. And I think the thing we're trying to do here, and I hope, it's something players prefer, instead of going fix a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there across all the leagues, I'm like, nah, let's just go all in on a league, do the exclusivity, give it an identity, be it a pinnacle boss or a reward system, upgrade it to uniques, fix all the problems with it, full fresh coat of paint across the board, and also quality of life, any just like, whole, you couldn't break out, you had to find the last monsters when breaking out a legion, and now you don't need to, is like, honestly, a huge difference.
Yeah, that was me lastly. I'm just cycloning through the whole Legion and I'm just going back and forth over it multiple times being like, why won't you start? Because I haven't tracked down the last monster hiding around a corner.
But we're trying to just make like quite good packages out of these upgrades, as opposed to just like, it would have been really easy to just fix the few, like that problem and a couple others with Legion, like getting rid of the icons so you don't just have those arcade style reward icons covering your screen in domain, all that. Yep. But then we're like, well, while we're at it, new reward system needs it. And with Abyss, we're also like, new pinnacle, why not? Because it needs it. And and we kind of hinted towards some ominous mastermind of Legion there, so you can already see we're heading in a direction towards
more to come.
Yeah,
cool.
But I hope players enjoy the more grander reworks as opposed to like what would just get lost in a few almost bug fix patch note style things across the board. So even though some leagues, because I know a lot of people can go, what about this league? What about that league? What about, like, our idea is to just, we've got a new league. Here's a couple of leagues we want to improve by giving them identity and fixing everything, addressing the gameplay concerns.
Talk about it.
And we're just going to cycle through them. And I'm sure by the time we get to the end, we have to go back to the start. So Legion rework to 2029.
There was a weird question from chat there. Can Foulborn unique mods become vestigial unique mods? That would be kind of wild.
No, I think that's the other restriction of the system. You cannot use the currency on corrupted uniques, and you cannot use it on Foulborn uniques, because it's sort of like a different sort of magic.
Right, yeah. Okay.
They've been defiled in their own way.
Yes.
That would be too
not crossing the streams. Things would start to get pretty complicated pretty quickly with that sort of thing, wouldn't they? Another thing that's been reworked and indeed come back is mercenaries. There's a long list of stuff going on in this expansion, isn't there? So to clarify, the base mercenary mechanic is now that you fight them in a zone and then they help you for the rest of that zone, not that you can then like hire them permanently on any character, right?
Yeah, so they'll start showing up in Act 3. There is a change that we want to get in. It might not get in for the patch, but in the campaign we do want to see if the mercenary can follow you for multiple areas.
Oh,
but
like,
if you, so in the campaign, it's like you find them in.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want that in endgame, would you? But like, in the campaign,
it doesn't really work because they have to go from a combat area to a combat area.
Yeah, okay.
You can only have one temporary mercenary at a time still. So if you find a mercenary in one area and then the next area, you aren't taking a full party with you. But, yeah, undecided if that will get in time or not.
Okay. I did definitely notice that you have buffed them, like, because they're now this limited thing. It seems like you're just like, well, let's make them ridiculous. Like, well, they're stronger than me.
The main thing with temporary mercenaries is you cannot tweak their gear.
Yeah.
And because you cannot tweak their gear, we can make them much stronger than before because we don't need a balance around you giving them 1,000 DPS axes and Doyani's prototype and whatever else.
Yeah, they seem to be powerhouses.
The good thing is we can balance permanent mercenaries and temporary mercenaries completely separately.
Yeah, and that's really cool. And that's the other thing. So you can now get permanent mercenaries through the Luminary. And I feel like this is Most interesting, unique ascendancy possibly ever.
I feel like I maybe lied last time we added the last Scion class, where I said we'd add another one after 13 years.
You did, yes.
Turns out it was 6 months. My bad, give or take. So sorry, apologies for the dishonesty.
I'll forgive you on this one.
But yeah, as you were going, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's like so the Luminary allows you to permanently hire a mercenary, and then there are like it's scaled back a little bit in that you need to say, oh, I care about them having unique gloves, so I'm going to allocate that point, or I'm going to mix and match those guys. So it seems like you've put some kind of effort towards making them a little bit more balanced, but this is like a super, I don't know, this is a super interesting ascendancy because it's got like a really long tail on it. Like you can keep finding new mercenaries as you go long term,
Yes,
right?
it's also interesting if you're not a luminary, because if you find a really good mercenary in a map, you can itemize it and trade it to a luminary. So there'll be a market for farming mercenary for other luminaries, assuming you know what the very valuable
I like all these little
mercenaries
micro
are.
markets developing.
I can't wait for someone to buy like an ultra expensive warrant, because that's what the tradable thing's called, the warrant. And then they're like, yes, I get to hire it. And then they just die.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
You're evil.
I thoroughly love where the Scions now ended up.
Yeah.
The 3 classes it has. You've got the Reliquarian, which we teased yesterday, day before or something.
Yes,
the new set.
we've shown the new ones.
You got this, like all 3 classes. The Ascendant obviously is a bit more, but there's still many permutations, but still three very unique classes.
Yeah.
Insane build variety.
Yeah,
It ended up just being amazing and special, and the Luminary just is the icing on the cake there, honestly. I'm looking forward to playing it. That's definitely my...
Yeah, I'm 50-50 at the moment what I'm going to play. It's either going to be a Flame Link mercenary, me using the Flame Link, or channeling Lightning Tendrils, which sounds weird, but there's stuff.
Yeah,
There's stuff.
I was going to say we. Andrew has adjusted over 100 skill gems for
Yeah,
this
I
patch.
think I still got a few dot buffs to do, but everything else should be in the notes.
That's literally our next topic. I've just got a couple mercenary chat questions before we move on. So, will mercenaries revive automatically if they die after changing zones, or do they need to be revived with gold still?
They still need to be revived with gold, and the same system as before where they'll turn up in the next area.
Yeah. Okay. Did you guys like?
But their survivability has been... No, I don't think it's been messed with too much. I think it should be all good.
Okay.
You will need to put defensive gear on them, I think. I can't remember. It was too long ago when I looked at the balance for the...
Figure it out.
Did you guys improve the UI or something like that? I feel like it was a bit better or something. I don't know. It's hard to recall. Exactly.
We have added extra panels so you can see more information about your mercenary.
Yeah, there was the passives and defenses and stuff.
So the defenses,
for them.
I think, used to be there, but we've added a new panel for their passive stats, which will show... Because mercenaries in the back end, they have effectively a fake passive tree.
Yeah.
Which you couldn't see before, but it's very useful to know how many damage increases they're getting, how much crit multi they're getting.
That's so cool.
Those
You can actually
inherent...
build them a bit more because you know what they're going to scale properly. Yeah.
There's 2 things about the Luminary that I think are worth... You're talking about passive stats, and it reminded me. There's 2 things about the Luminary. So the first thing is that what we found is people were playing the Luminary and then they'd find no mercenaries. So the campaign has... How many fixed spawns? 3?
4 areas,
Yeah. So some guaranteed ones. You're still, and the random ones are still there, so that you can't just I've played this class and I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is in the campaign specifically, because you can't guarantee them with scarabs and invest into them always being there, they level up with you. So that the ones you do find earlier on will sustain for.
We gotta try one. This will be
their
a second
skills
character.
get better. Their
I will
passive,
try
they
it.
get the
It could be fun.
passives,
Yeah, so when you're in an area, it's just matching their passive stats and their skill level to the current area level. But what it doesn't allow you to do is you cannot equip a high level item on a mercenary you found at level 30. So you can't give them high level items, but all of their passive stats and skills. I think this benefits spellcaster mercenaries a little bit more than the attack ones.
Yeah, but without that, honestly, it was a little bit dire, leveling up as well.
Yeah, I ascended and I immediately found one in Scepter of God, which was the very next zone I went into. So I was and then since then I've done 1 or 2 extra acts and I found another 5 of them. I found one of the like the higher end, whatever the next tier of the mercenaries is called.
Infamous,
Yeah, I found an infamous kineticist, and it's like,
Oh, that's the big money right
yeah.
there.
And then I went into another zone, and there was one of the temporary ones. I got those guys, and I was just like sprinting through the zone, and he's like slamming, teleporting, and she's throwing bolts down everywhere. I'm like, nice. That's pretty fun. It's gonna be fun in endgame when you like get a good temporary recruit on top of your already luminarious.
I get to be a
recruited one as well.
support character without friends. my mercenary friends.
Absolutely. Will Triathlon and skill gems drop from mercenaries now, or they remain exclusively as a heist reward? It's another chat question.
Yeah, we've moved them back to mercenary, so they no longer drop in heist.
That makes sense. You want each thing to have its own unique rewards after all. Will there be a forbidden flame and flesh jewels for luminary ascendancy nodes? Oh, I imagine not, right?
No, there won't be. Because
Wouldn't make
most
much
of the
sense.
nodes don't work unless you have the node that enables
And
you
then
to
there's
have
that
the
one that
mercenary.
would just be completely busted.
So it's similar to Reliquary, and neither of those two ascendancies. You can still use the Ascendance ones, but you can't get the
Yes.
Reliquary or Luminary ones.
Scion
makes
and
sense.
being a weirdo with her ascendancies.
Yeah, she's an edge case.
Fun little thing that I'm sure, well, so we were just discussing this before because you experienced it out here, where a lot of players probably have forgotten, but for those who remember the first time players have to actually go and unlock the Scion to be able to play the Scion.
Yeah, I have a fresh account here, so I was all of a sudden like, wait, what?
True,
I forgot about
hydrate,
that.
hydrate.
You guys have removed the Scion? Who actually remembers
Yeah.
that from whatever, a decade ago?
Oh, yeah.
So obviously when we announce a class like this, a lot of people who are going to start playing the game are going to be like, I wanted to play this thing and I don't know where
now
it is
they
and I
just
don't know what to
auto get
do.
the Scion.
Almost certainly after this, we're going to go and make it so that the Scion is just unlocked by default at this point. We should be adding new interesting discoveries and unlocks, not like holding on to that when people might want to play this and come play the game and actually engage with the Scion straight away, and they don't have to. A new player shouldn't have to play to Act 3 to then reroll to do it. I know this is a thing that like isn't a huge deal
Most of
because
us unlocked it 15 years ago or something.
everyone just has done it, but like, yeah, it's easy to forget that even was a thing. So
Yeah, it's true.
hopefully, yes, they don't have to play to Act 3 to then re-roll in order to play the class that they want to play. Which is a little bit sad because it was a funding at the time, but honestly, I forgot about it for 8 years or something. I don't know how long it's been.
Most of us did, indeed.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, you did some work on
All right,
skill
here we go,
balancing.
guys.
It seems like hand casting, aka self casting, was a big part of the focus. What was your kind of like goals with skill balance this time? What have you been working on?
What have
here?
you been doing there, buddy?
It's a couple of words that keeps cropping up over and over again. So we sat down and had a look and figured out like what are the problems with hand casting. It's like what are all the different things we can change. I mean, the general thing from my point of view is I think hand casting is like not bad in the campaign and like early campaign,
No,
but
it's
I think
not.
it falls off quite a lot in the middle game.
It does.
And it comes back online very, very late game because you have a lot of very unique interactions like life stacking, that type of thing, which can then push it to be like very, very competitive. So a lot of the focus here was adding more scaling into that mid game, especially.
Yep.
But also the fact that we have like hundreds, I think it was like 180 spells that were like viable damaging spells that we could like were candidates for balance effectively.
Yeah.
So it's like you have so much choice. Why would someone pick one spell over the other? So we've also done a focus of like trying to differentiate the spells a bit more based on like their inherent damage types.
Yeah.
So for example, like blade spells now have like 10% crit chance instead of 6%. So they're massively crit focused. Whereas fire spells have lower mana costs than other spells, but they have higher damage effectiveness, which sort of leans into them being very good for Ignite.
Yeah, I noticed you were doing more elemental distinction as well. Yeah, so like
Cold dot?
I saw similar kind of reasoning behind cold and lightning as well. Like lightning is faster, but higher mana cost.
Yeah, so lightning will be interesting because lightning has like all of the cast speeds are faster, but the mana cost is also higher. So
That's like a double whammy for like how do you manage the mana on that, and then if you're doing archmage things as well, especially. I mean, that can be a good thing. It's a good thing to have the higher mana cost potentially.
yeah, I mean, Archmage doesn't scale off. I don't know. There's not a huge amount of things that scale off current mana cost anymore. I think there are a few, in which case
Okay, yeah.
that is actually a buff for those,
Yeah.
all those lightning
It's like
spells.
unique or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a bit stronger distinction there. I saw you're also kind of like, any kind of pure ice spells are getting a chance to freeze, and I saw a chance to shock going in. It's like, yeah, why doesn't this skill have 25% chance to freeze?
Yeah, the annoying thing that I found with freeze is that like it's such an inherent part of a cold build's identity,
Yeah.
but most skills just can't freeze unless they invest into critical strike chance. So having a bit of like chance to freeze inherently on some of the very basic cold spells will make freeze actually be something that you'll
This is awesome.
notice early on in the game.
Cool, yeah. And it's not just that, though. Like, I definitely noticed some pretty substantial damage buffs for a lot of these skills, too, which is important to, like, give a bit more diversity. I even noticed in the early game, it's like, I don't feel necessarily like I have to rolling magma quite so hard.
Yeah, I think there weren't a huge amount of, like, to be honest, a lot of the changes were to the growth of the spells. Like, for example, channeling spells, because they don't have a huge amount of, like, different axes for scaling, we've increased, like, the damage growth on those. So their damage isn't, like, hugely different at, like, level 1, but it ramps up quite a lot more throughout the game. But we deliberately just nerfed Magma Orb very, very early game, just so you don't
Let's
feel
go.
compelled to use that one spell. Please try something else.
The the curse of Magma Orb is finally over.
I mean, there'll be a new curse,
The most
but hopefully
weird, awkward
we'll
spell.
change it more frequently than we have with Magma Orb.
Curse of the All Flame.
So,
Along that line, there is the classic, meta nerfs, so to speak, that we like to do
Yes.
every league.
Oh, they're
but,
doing it.
yeah, Andrew's a specialist at just give me a giga spreadsheet of numbers, and he is the king of just change all the numbers of all the things. Like most people are like, oh, there's multiple hundreds of things to do here, and they're a little bit reserved. And Andrew's just like, yeah, all good. Let's go through every skill in the game. Let's do it.
Oh, man, there's a long list of... It's going to be some long patch notes this time around for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not to say there aren't any like nerfs related to. Well, one of the things is because we're buffing a lot of the spells, I don't want to just buff every channeling spell in the game and everyone's like, oh no, I'm playing totems. No, I'm playing mines. So
yeah.
do note there might be some like counterbalance there.
Oh,
Yes.
dude, it's
That's a
gonna be a
good thing.
giga
Otherwise,
meta shake
You're
up.
not even necessarily then making people want to handcast, right? Like, obviously. So.
Yeah. Do you think that there might be a need in some areas for any sort of like mechanical changes to handcasting and channeling in
Well,
particular?
there is a dream, and the dream is cast while moving, but that is. I don't know if we'll ever see that in PoE1.
So that's a tricky one,
It
isn't it?
requires the new rigs, I assume.
We will someday.
One day.
One day.
That one's an actual long time away, though. That's not
Yeah.
but it will come. We've explained that a whole bunch of times. It's the exact same reason why there's no WASD.
Yeah, I see the question, and we've answered it before, the WASD question, but that's the same thing.
We
is that
understand
it
how-
kind of needs the rigging to work. It
We
just
understand how popular those things will be, and it will happen. It's just taking its time, and not due to us not caring. There is a whole department actively working on aiming towards this goal.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. So ironically, with the discussion and like a lot of the focus being on hand casting, self casting, and trying to make those better comparative to like triggered and other means of getting spells out, which have been dominant in the past, there has still been a lot of questions about cast on crit and cast while channeling, and those feeling weak. Interesting. So it's especially like cast on crit players seem to be like lamenting the loss of awakened cast on crit, for example, and feeling like they're a lot weaker now, or that's a lot less viable. Is that something you've considered or looking at in the
Well,
future at all?
There is this new node on Assassin, which is sort of insane for cast on crit.
Interesting.
If you're familiar with bifurcation, and I don't know if it was shown in the live stream, but if you're familiar with crits bifurcating in PoE 2,
Oh, yeah, that
we've
thing.
pretty much ported the exact same mechanic back to PoE 1, which is especially effective on cast on crit.
That was a whole can of worms, that thing. I'm surprised you're
Yeah.
opening that one again.
Yeah, cast on crit, I'm like, sort of just ignored this patch. Cast while channeling, though, feels a little more like you are casting it yourself, although you can cyclone, which... So, cast while channeling has received some buffs. I don't think cast on crit has really...
Okay, yeah.
That's
Apart
fine.
from
We
maybe
have cast
something
on
with
crit
Assassin.
Apart
being-
from Assassin might be very, very strong for it.
Yeah, I'll ask more about Assassin later, although before there was the exceptional support. We should probably touch on that. So you did the removal of the awakened supports and then the new exceptional supports. And now that we've had that for a league, I'm just curious, I've seen some questions here and there about it, and I've seen people saying, especially like dot builds, maybe poison builds, I feel like they lost a lot from the transition. You know, they had a bunch of damage now before that they don't have now. They were kind of already something that was a bit capped in terms of damage.
The problem that a lot of those non-ailment dots have is there's very few mechanics that you can do something like super interesting with.
Yeah.
And previously, a lot of the old Awakening supports were just pure damage multipliers. All the supports they used were like Awaken Burning Damage, Awaken Deadly Ailment, or not that one, but Swift Affliction or whatever. So, yeah, they certainly did lose a little bit of damage at like the super endgame, but hopefully I'm undecided. Like I said before, we still got some like...
Dude, Assassin's
I've
going
got
to
a
be
specific
crazy if
list
we got
spell dot
basically
skills,
Oracle's thing.
I haven't exactly figured out how I want to buff yet, because it could just be damage growth. But I think the correct answer is we add more different... It could be support gems. There could be just some in-game itemization that like adds extra axes of scaling to these skills. It was shown in the live stream, but one of the packs is very focused towards these.
Yeah.
The Pact of Gore, depending on like how many different types of non-damaging dot skills you use, you'll get like a huge bonus to their like damage and...
So there's still some stuff that's going to come in the patch notes as probably early next week. So the dot skills, as he mentioned.
Oh wow, this patch then.
Maybe, unless he decides not to.
the
we were
dot
even
stuff
working on
I'm very interested in.
We're working on some keystones for casting that we haven't quite figured out. But the hope is to be able to do them. Like kind of one for fire, one for lightning, one for cold, something like that.
Wow.
No promises, but they're close. We're like 80% into solving it, and there's just a few bits left. But we didn't want to add something too kind of convoluted, and
Guys,
so
that's
just trying to
ingenious.
find out how to simplify them and make them feel a bit more fundamental, as opposed to just like a confusing mess. And if some of that can just be a matter of descriptions, which... Oh my God. Also, I don't know if people notice, but we have the helper text system now in PoE1.
Yeah, the tooltips.
Yeah.
I definitely noticed that. I love tooltips.
I just remembered. I was like, we didn't talk about it.
I was like, wait a second, that's a tooltip right there.
Yeah.
On that note, though, we don't have everything. The system's there.
That's going to take time.
The new stuff has it. The old stuff going to require
slowly
It's a
going to
lot
get
of,
updated.
Finding all the cases where it's necessary, writing all the text.
Yep,
Like,
linking them all.
you can automate some of this once you have a keyword, which is what we call it internally.
Auto highlight.
You can go look for all the places in the game that use that word that you're trying to keyword.
Yep.
But the actual writing of each individual keyword, that needs to be done manually by people who understand the systems, and is also very exacting, because Path of Exile is a very precise game.
exactly.
And so if you have slightly different wording, it can mean a wildly different thing.
We only let a few people in-house actually write these things because we want to make sure they're very consistent.
Yeah.
You see in some games where you've got descriptions and it's just, you look like each developer wrote their own variation of it.
Yeah.
So we generally try and make sure these are done very precisely, because misinformation is way worse than almost no information, right? Like it just confuses people. So yeah, they're going to get filled in, but we're needing those specific people to be free to do it. But yeah, it's a good QOL addition to the game, and good for onboarding as well. And
Awesome.
yeah, so that's just random pivot, but I just remembered that when we we're talking about the keystones and describing them.
I see chat bringing up nearby. Did we get that nearby?
Oh
thing,
yeah, I
Andrew?
was going to mention
The highlight, the circle.
Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a restart patch, like a content update, maybe a week or two after release.
Yeah.
And for that, I have a plan where I'm going to unify all the nearby keywords.
Oh.
So nearby, close, present, proximal, all of that stuff. And then it will all be keyworded, and you'll be able to highlight the keyword, and you'll get the nice little ring around your character.
I just want to clarify, because people got confused about it last time. When he says restart patch, it just means a patch and where the realm goes off and then back up. Just to be clear.
Not resetting.
I saw last time people going,
No,
what do you mean there's a week one league reset?
As in, there are some changes that won't work unless the client has been restarted. So it just forces everybody off the
Some
game. and
eternal
back on.
terminology leaking
It's
out.
about client server synchronous.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
but
Oh, that's good news, though.
I've seen us. We refer to it as a restart patch internally, and I see some people, rightfully so, misinterpret that as a economy restart or something. I'm like, no.
You don't need to do that
hold
for
on,
a
guys.
tooltip.
No.
Not usually.
The new league mechanic tooltips.
So we've had the assassin rework, and how do you feel like that landed? And there was also kind of like linked questions about, well, we talked about cast on crit, but also like elusive not feeling very good to build around. But I think before you could refresh it, but not anymore.
Yeah, I feel like when we reworked it, it landed a little bit too weak, which is
Yeah.
why we're making changes this patch.
Yeah.
Not just, well, it's mostly because it's an intelligence ascendancy, and so we can like put it under the umbrella of self-cast buff. But do note that the death marked node, the one that is applies assassin mark, that has also been massively buffed. So
Oh, cool.
if that node is much stronger for attack builds, then hopefully assassin is also viable for them too.
Control F assassin in the patch notes then. That's good news. Yeah, because I was doing a little bit of research on that, just kind of see where it landed, and ultimately it was like 2%. It seems like the shadow ascendancies in general are all a little bit low.
Yeah, I mean, we do sometimes look at PoE Ninja just to see like the
not
one
the
or two
absolute
ascendants.
authority on this.
No,
Yeah,
no,
we often have our like we make sure we address the least played class or two, but because some of these we just instead went with more of a like, well, not to say they aren't, but folded into the hand casting thing and do spell casting adjacent stuff instead. So.
Yeah, related to the assassin questions, a few people have been asking about daggers and claws. Daggers in particular feel like they lack a bit of an identity. Like you would expect them to be the highest crit thing, but in many cases that seems to not be the case. And a lot of the times it's like, unless it's a unique, it's like, well, I should just use a claw instead. That's going to be better.
One of the things that's going to be in the patch notes is quite a lot of caster itemization changes, particularly to like staves and daggers and wands and scepters.
Okay.
So one of the things with daggers is they're implicits. We just had a look at them compared to like wands and scepters, and it's like they are kind of weak.
Yeah.
So all of the crit chance on dagger implicits has been buffed.
Nice.
And then the changes that were related to wands and scepters generally proliferate to daggers as well. So rolling caster daggers will have a bunch of improvements. As attack
what I
daggers
missing?
versus attack claws,
Oh, daggers?
the only real change there is that daggers have slightly more crit chance.
Okay.
Yeah, I imagine that's a bit out of the scope of this current one.
Wait,
It's
what?
Not,
They're
not the
talking
focus
daggers?
Now, but something to look at in the
It's
future.
the
maybe.
same thing where we try and pick a package similar
Yeah.
with the league reworks
sure.
instead of just bits and pieces all over. We're like, what's something cohesive? So when you go hand casting, and then you kind of let it spread and affect things that are somewhat adjacent, but yeah, I mean, the players will then tell us what the next, like we almost always go off, as he said, when the word hand casting or self casting keeps coming up, that's how we ultimately decide here's what we're doing next. So ultimately we just keep paying attention to what people think is not in the right spot, and then we go, okay, how are we going to turn that into a package, a rebalance package, and that's kind of how we go about doing it, to be honest. So
did they
let
buff
us know
daggers?
is the answer.
Well, I mean, that's the next question is about defenses on ranges. Obviously, not in the scope of this patch, so no one expects anything in that regard. But it's maybe a good one for the future to look at. Defenses on the ranger build archetypes, especially with bows, it seems to be, is kind of the topic here. And I had some prolonged discussions with a few people about this one. So I have some extra context on this if needed, but the main takeaway seems to be that ranger defense suppression, namely, was nerfed as a result of other classes heavily investing in it, which is like a good thing to do because you don't really want like the build checklist of like, oh, I have to get suppression on every single build was obviously a problem. So that was like nerfed in, I believe, 327.
Okay, now we're just all trolling. Okay, Astra.
So while probably good for other builds balance, Rangers seems to be lacking in their own way to make up for that. And evasion seeming kind of increasingly weak with less benefits to stacking it than other things like armor and energy shield. And other defensive layer options in that kind of archetype seem to be highly conditional, or they have some really big downsides.
Yeah, claws
and the
are the
ascendancy
main
options
thing,
are really
not
high
the-
point investment.
Oh, so
Typically,
they
a lot of
buff
them are
daggers.
4-pointers, where other things in other classes would be 2 points, and also highly conditional. It's like, you know, don't get hit, or you
If they
don't have any
increase the
defenses
base
kind of
crit
thing. So I was wondering if that's like
and
an area
attack
that you might
speed,
be interested in looking at in the future, or something
But
you've
the
been
main
tracking.
thing, the problem with daggers is the
I
abilities.
mean, if the player base agrees, and then we look into it, which, I mean, you're primarily correct, yes, then that will turn into our next package, right? Like, we pay attention to it during this league, by the way. And then we go, okay, you got this, this, and this. What one are we going to focus on? Maybe we can do a second. So, again, that is a worthy candidate for sure.
Yeah, I haven't played an evasion build in like 2 or 3 leagues.
That might be a good indicator.
Can't remember how good the defenses were. I remember the philosophy of that change was basically that like a lot of the investment in the ranger area of the tree should be able to get suppression back to the level that it was pre-nerf.
Yeah.
If that isn't the case, we can probably do more there.
Yeah.
You'd want to adjust things that are like solely the domain of that kind of build, right?
Yeah.
So like pure evasion bases or maybe quivers, something like that. If you're talking about bow builds being a problem specifically.
It could be we do it more
centers and
dex.
stuff.
Like if you dexterity focused kind of defenses pass plus weapon distinctions, like if you're talking about attack claws and daggers, like I can already see this coming together and becoming a bit of a thing. So
God, Mark's the
even if it's
fucking
not just
best.
defensive, it could just be something to do with that.
Since we were kind of talking about like the daggers and claws and stuff, that's also in that similar area. So I wonder if that's like there's a package kind of in that area.
I can see that. I could see that coming together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's always gonna be people that disagree on like what's the next area that should be focused on, but that's one that got brought up by someone whose opinion I kind of trust on that
Yeah,
topic.
I do agree that
Bob
I don't
gun.
think PoE1 has super good identity between different types of weapons, because like if you're a slayer, it's like what's the difference between using a 2-hand sword axe or mace? Really, there's like a few mastery options, a couple of different implicits.
And that's a fun thing to improve too. Like it results in things being more interesting typically whenever that sort of stuff is addressed. So
I mean, one of the benefits of having this, cadence where we have the split teams with, designers fully dedicated to PoE1 is we have the time and resources to
Maces
address
are
these
not
kinds of problems.
ass. Don't
we can do
listen
much
to
more
the
significant
propaganda
balance
from the
shakeups over
melees.
these if we want to.
that's clearly evidenced by this patch with the gigantic delve into the various problem areas. It's good news for sure. Production
All right,
scroll,
boys.
scroll past this part. Yeah, a bit down further. Thank you. Cool.
All right,
Another
boys.
thing
Patch
that
note
got mentioned
time.
that I
Come
don't
on.
know if it was mentioned at all in the. Well, okay, so you mentioned something about Varl orbs, and this is connected to this. So synthesis. You mentioned something's happening with synthesis modifiers.
Oh yeah, we're just getting rid of them.
Nice.
That is the thing that's happening. Yes.
Good riddance.
Yeah, well, to be fair, the synthesis unique items are still unchanged. They still can get synthesis implicits, but they sort of we've never really liked they're just like item bloat, and they don't really have a specific home in the game currently. So why have synthesis implicits when you also have val implicits, and it sort of removes the identity of implicits on like weapons, for example. So
The whole identity was you take multiple for those who maybe remember the league, you take multiple items
Long time ago.
explicits mods and put them as implicits on something. Like the whole idea was that you're turning explicit mod power into implicits, and then we removed that conversion process and then just had. So really what it just looks like is there's just a random amalgamation of different modifiers that are implicits on these items. But it's like you never synthesized it. It's just an item. So even like just immersively, it's just like, or narratively, or in world, it's like, what does this even mean? Now that there's no actual crafting bench to achieve it that synthesis had during its league forever ago. But yeah, then it's just like, okay, now you've just got this amalgamation of so many different stats that are just contesting with designs, well, ultimately blocking design space, and they don't really have a purpose. So like we just eradicate it so we can free up some, make some of these other things more powerful, or free up some design space to be able to do some more stuff in the future.
Which we then did immediately use, right, Andrew?
yeah. So
Tell me more.
well, I guess that's sort of like the vestigial items, but those are unique, so they don't really compete with synthesis bases. But the main thing we did is we took most of the interesting, powerful synthesis implicits and turned them into Val corruption implicits.
Yeah, so they're not
you
just
can
gone.
corrupt a ring and get +1 frenzy charge now,
cool.
for example.
That's a potential big buff to Varl orbs. Then it seems like that's a much more interesting thing.
You'll see it in the patch notes, but in doing like the Abyss changes, we've ordered all the mods on Abyss Jewels, and we've removed bad ones, buffed weak ones. Same for all the Val
I think we got
corruption
rid
on
of
plus
the
hits.
increased damage versus abyssal monsters one, right?
Yeah, I think
That's gone.
I think I petitioned you to
Nice.
get rid of those like years ago, and now
Finally.
I didn't even ask you this
Come on,
time. I
man.
just removed it.
Yeah, get rid of them. I don't know why I ever would have defended that. Fever dream.
Memory
One
hold
of those days. Did you ask me before 10 a.m. and I hadn't had enough caffeine?
I can't remember.
You can't do that. I need
Anyway,
that for
it's
a
a
reason.
very long time ago.
That's the right answer.
Yes. I mean, that's a very juicy buff to double corruptions. There's going to be some fun double corrupting actually
Yes.
coming out of that.
It also means you can no longer mirror the best items in the game anymore.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, this is the sort of change that affects, like, very, very pinnacle high-end crafting, because,
The
like,
only-
you can't get those crazy bases to craft on now.
The only small reservation is it sort of removes a little bit of the value from the leagues that actually did, for some reason, drop synthesis items. So, for example, Ritual
Which is
and
everything but
Heist.
synthesis, let's be clear.
Yeah. So, those might be the next leagues in the future on the, like, let's audit their rewards, make sure their exclusive rewards are, like, much more powerful and interesting.
It somewhat bounces in the other direction, though, because there's a lot of leagues that'll generate corrupted items as outcomes, and now those can be much more of a jackpot, right?
True. Yeah. Well, so part of my follow-up question was, like, it was at some point mentioned that we would get the ability to add synthesis item drops back to synth maps, because that was always like one of my favorite things. It's like it's such a high variance, fun win thing. It's like, oh yeah, man, rings are dropping with synthesized implicits. Like, that's awesome. So now obviously that's not going to be happening since they're not a thing anymore. Is there something that synthesis maps could get to make them have their own unique reward? Are they even a candidate for that kind of, like, are they a system enough?
Well, they're sort of under the umbrella of unique maps being very old and being not very good. And we would love to just, like, completely redesign all of them and do them properly.
They're getting sad. They're getting real sad.
Yeah.
It came up as part of the Atlas anomaly discussion. You know, there was a point where we were like, should all unique maps just be Atlas anomalies? And should we then do a pass on all the unique maps to make them more worthy? And it was just too much of a rabbit hole of work at the time. You know, it was maybe a month before release, and that's not not the point in the development cycle where you can make that kind of decision.
Yeah.
True.
I will mention one thing though. Doyani's Machinarium is no longer required for challenge completion. However, Doyani's Delusion, the unique boots that drop from the map, have been like, they always drop corrupted with an implicit, and they've been massively buffed. So they're very high variance. So you'll want to run that map to find some
that's fun.
potentially crazy boots.
Awesome. So we recently had some of the bigger Chaos Orb sinks removed, probably causing the quick spike to 300 plus Chaos to Divine ratio that was in Mirage, compared to the more typical 150-ish that we had in Keepers and before that. So what are I'm curious, like, is this something you guys really look at or care about too much? Or are you like, the economy's going to economy? Like, what are your thoughts about it? What are the impacts on players of this sort of change? Like, if you have an economic shift like that, is it something you care
Yeah,
about?
too much.
I mean,
Not if it's too.
That's the impression I've got in the past.
If
Is
that
like
was
you
3,000, whatever, obviously, the magnitude matters. It's, not to say it isn't a thing we might want to consider. I'm just saying, like, it's not a huge deal for sure. Not unless it actually spirals out, like, out of control.
there's this thing with the economy that, like, from your guys' perspective, I get the sense that, like, well, this is kind of like the player's domain a bit more. We don't want to necessarily influence it too much all the time.
Yeah, maybe the new de facto currency will be chromatic orbs. You never know.
Could you imagine? Oh, my Lord.
I don't know, not to be contradictory or anything, but, like, I don't personally have much of a horse in the race of the economy part of this, but I really like there being sinks for things because I like things leaving the economy, thus allowing things to retain value over time. You know, it's one of the main reasons that I like personally play hardcore trade over other leagues, because things leave the economy.
Yeah.
So would I want more chaos sinks in the game? Yes. Yeah. Do I want them in the game because there's a ratio of chaos to divines that's wrong in some way? No. It's just because it's good for the game generally.
Okay.
True.
Yeah.
It is sad when the Chaos Orb as a drop now feels weak, right?
I think
that is sad.
That's the most compelling argument that I see when I'm thinking about this, because I usually ask people when people think about, like, have you seen the economy ratio? And I'm like, well, why do you think it's a problem? And the answers I get are varied and not always super convincing. But the most convincing one that I hear is that the players who are picking up Chaos Orbs aren't getting that kind of like incremental progression towards their thing. Like that's like that appeals to me. I feel for the normies being one myself.
The fewer items that are satisfying to drop.
Yeah.
Like if it only becomes here's the only 2 items you care about that drop, that's bad. So yeah, we do have to keep as many drops as possible feeling satisfying, and that is the main motivation to go, okay, if it's crossing it's a gray line, it's like weird, but if it does cross the line, then, or I mean, I guess it's not even really a line, it's just the more items we can keep satisfying, and thus you could argue, yes, this is something that we should push for fixing for sure.
That said, we have added a couple
I'm
of
bearing
new,
the lead. Yeah.
So we've added 2 new crafts. Andrew did the balance on them, so.
Oh, only the costs. That might be wrong. We'll find out.
There's bench orb crafts for chaos orbs now. I saw.
Yes. They behave. I mean, if you're familiar with the PoE2 chaos orb, where it removes a mod then adds a mod, there's one that does that, and then there's one that removes 3 mods and adds 3 mods. So you can kind of use these to try and salvage items that have a really good mod that you want, but a bunch of other trash.
Interesting. It's hard to tell the impacts or like how much that'll be used, but it's an option there. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, that's going to sink a few chaos orbs. I saw that one of them was like 8 chaos or something.
We'll keep an eye on it. I wouldn't want chaos to become pennies, you know? That's which you could argue they're
You just believe.
1/3 of it.
Yeah, we'll see the patch notes. See if
Depending
you
on
cook.
what your
call it a dollar?
depends what your dollar is, I guess. Well, I would argue the divine is somewhat of a dollar. But we'll keep an eye on
He's
it as
making
well.
fun of the
But,
arm tears.
again,
No
the
GGG God.
ultimate
He's been
philosophy
here,
is
though.
we should be keeping
He's
as
been
many
with the
drops as
company for
possible
that
feeling
long.
satisfying. That's the goal. So anything that goes away from that is technically in the wrong direction.
You just think he's
It's
cute.
just, it can get a little bit away from it without us having to take action.
You like his vibe.
Sometimes there are short-term things that influence. Not to say that that's what's happening
Okay.
here. And then they
Okay.
just
Someone's
course
reading
correct
her
next
book
league,
right now.
and sometimes there are things that are
Okay.
interesting. I don't have an exact answer for it now, which is why I'm kind of being a little bit vague because we need to figure out. We need to discuss and figure out what to actually do. Hard to promise things at this point, but yeah.
Well, we've kind of touched on it a little bit a few times, but Bestiaries had to have seen some changes to its beast crafting. You also mentioned like the specific beasts are dropping specific talismans as well. Side note on that, is that something you can target farm in some way since they are specific?
Yes, so every single
Dude,
red beast
I am
has
not
its own
team
specific talisman it
talisman,
drops.
I'm sorry.
So, for example, if
Maybe
you
they'll be
want
good
like
and I'll
a
eat my
Rex talisman,
words,
then
but
there is
I
the note on the
just- I
atlas
don't
tree
know.
that increases the chance for like beasts from that specific genus to spawn.
That's a cool little buff for
So
those,
yeah,
huh?
you can.
But then again,
Oh yeah,
I don't wanna go
Rex
do it,
just looks
so.
like a some sort of
think
mammal
it's a-
to me,
I
but
think
yeah,
it's
it is.
a bird.
Okay.
Is it a bird? It's a bird.
I
You
have
can
no
plus
idea.
birds. The more likely for the bird species, I'm pretty sure will increase the Rexes. But I didn't actually ever think about how clear the correlation between the genus and the actual monsters is. So I guess it's fine. Whatever.
lean back.
It was one of you mentioned to me that beast splitting is gone. That's obviously a big change for some folks. It's a big crafting thing that was used for some high-end crafting projects or just getting extra value out of certain drops, I suppose, in some cases. So talk us through the removal of the beast splitting.
Well, the main thing is I feel like
They're
historically
nervous about this one.
beast splitting was never really intended for, or has never really been used for its original intention of splitting the mods from one item onto two items. It's almost always just been used for, I just found the most valuable base type in the game in Heist, and now I have two of them.
I mean, it came about because we were looking at the fact that we don't want every Simplex amulet to become two, right? Like that. That was where this came in. We started discussing it, and we were just like, is this even healthy at this point? Like, just ultimately every base type that's of value becomes two base types of value. And I get that it's just taking away the value, but it also just honestly isn't necessary at that point.
And worth noting, Fractured Fossil has also been changed.
Okay. I mean,
Because that does a similar thing.
It fractures the item now, like the name suggests.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it just doesn't fulfill its original purpose. I could see people being a bit like, oh, no, but I liked having two of everything I found.
Yeah, but
I mean, there's also like, What if you just doubled the frequency of them appearing and removed it? Not to say we've done
Like,
that,
even
by
if
the
you
way.
don't, it's like the thing you get now is worth like, 1.5 times as much or whatever the difference in the cost of
Yeah.
the beast splitting was. Like, it was just priced into the economy of it anyway. Like, so it just became this kind of like obligationary step that you just had to know about, otherwise you were scamming
Yes,
yourself.
Yeah.
And in many ways, the new Oriflame crafting is splitting items
Sure.
in a
Somewhat.
sort of
Well,
way.
if you want to do the original intent of the
You can only
split
keep
craft,
one
It's
of them.
closer to the original.
there's a Ducat that's very
true.
similar to that,
That's true.
which splits it into a bunch of ghostly forms that each have some of the item or one of the mods in the
so
original
you
item,
can
and then you
the-
pick one.
You can take the mod set you want. That's a cool idea.
Yeah,
That one.
so like that is closer to what the beast was originally intended to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Isolate a strong mod to then craft from.
But noting on the case of bestiary, I know Octavian, you share this as well, but both of us probably. I don't know how you feel about it. It's our top on our top list.
Oh yeah, even
Your number one. It's my number one for like.
our programmers keep asking me when are we gonna get.
Oh God,
It's a dire rework.
it is a rat's nest, man,
Yeah.
on the back end.
Oh, bestiary, yeah.
When we added that scarab that added the new beast, the Black Morrigan, like that was just add a unique beast that has a few crafts, and that was like 2 weeks worth of going
Yeah.
back to it, fixing a bug, going back to it, fixing a bug, because it's
Sad.
Yeah.
It is
it's
the
a bit older, that
number
one.
one league that's in a dire need of a rework in our eyes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Monsters are old, the combat's old, the bosses are old, the crafting system has gone through so many different identities and different things to the point where I honestly think it's like kind of lost a bit of its groove.
I mean, what I will say is it's a very strong concept, though. Like going and
Yeah.
capturing beasts,
Yeah.
like wild spirit beasts,
Yeah,
is really
that's
cool.
worth
And that's
figuring
kind
them
of
out.
why the very original pitch for this league was like, go back to that theme. So we'd want to keep the strong theme, but
Yeah.
I know that one we all agree. I don't know how players necessarily feel,
Well,
but
yeah, I mean, I definitely have had questions about that, especially on the quality of life side of things. And since you're already thinking about that, it'd be worth mentioning those now. So people like, particularly like just with hitting the limit of beasts and then like having to empty them out. There has been some improvements there, but it seems like it's still like just a big problem for people that are
honestly,
actually trying to engage with the mechanic.
we've been doing kind of weak level band-aids for a while there,
Yeah,
and because the actual solution is quite a lot of work, and we keep going to do it, and we're like, can we really afford to spend this much time on that instead of? And there's all this like cool content stuff, and every time we're weighing the scales, it's like, it's not quite there. And so this is where I'm like, okay, in order to actually do this, we have to make bestiary the focus. So we have
Yeah.
to go, this is the rework, and then we'll be able to do all of this stuff. But it's surprisingly more work than it might seem.
because
Yeah.
if you do it in that way where you're making it a focus and you're, revamping a lot of the content as well, then you're not having to choose between do I fix these problems or make cool content. You're just fixing the problems while making the cool content.
Yeah.
Make League good.
Something that I saw kind of like asked is like proposing the idea is like, do yellow beasts even really matter and need to be a thing like they are? Like, what if they just kind of dropped a life force beast juice or something
Discussed
like
this
that?
recently as well.
Interesting.
Well, this was part of the original spec where we'd basically wanted to say that yellow beasts still appear in maps
Yeah.
as extra monsters, but Ironheart doesn't capture them. And then all of the recipes just require a red beast,
Yeah.
and he'll spawn some random other beasts alongside
Nice.
when you do an encounter.
When I imagine
But-
modernizing past, that's kind of what I imagine. Yeah.
The only problem is that is a lot of programmer work actually.
Yeah.
Every solution we came up with was like, all right, we've done all the like 1 day tasks. Now we're in the many day to week tasks, and we're like, it's just getting so. Again, it will be a focus
I
soon.
wonder if that makes it a candidate for more of like a bestiary 2.0, like a more substantial thing, since it is going to be so much work anyway. Just to untangle that. Like,
Not necessarily as an active league, though it could
Yeah.
be, but I'd say currently still probability wise, it's more likely for just a rework, similar to like Abyss and Legion this time round.
yeah.
It'll be here's the new league, here's a bestiary rework. Insert other things here.
we've got some rapid fire kind of quality of life and technical questions here. EU servers seem to be having some major issues each league launch, and maybe beyond that, from what I've heard. Any news on sources of that issue or potential improvements on the horizon?
None of us three know about that, unfortunately. So, Jonathan handles that with our more live ops and sysadmin team. So we just don't know honestly
Gonna
what's
cook
going on.
Jonathan.
Like,
I'll ask him about it then.
Yeah, that is the better thing to do for sure.
I'll get on it. I'll get on it. We talked about the tooltips. Excellent. In-game price checking was added to PoE 2. Is that something you're planning on adding to PoE 1 as well?
Almost all of that. Well, yes. Don't know when. Same with like price checker, build planner, which I guess is a bigger
build
thing.
planner. Yep.
There's some complexities around it. Like we are trying to as from the helper text thing. We just got that ported over, so we're slowly porting stuff over. But often the best person to do it is the person that implemented it, right? And it makes sense to port it. But those people are working on PoE 2, big upgrade. So we've got to find these like windows where they're like kind of between tasks where they can migrate it over and make it work. Otherwise, you're having someone who doesn't know that code base at all trying to maneuver it over, and they don't understand the, parts of it that are lesser important and more important necessarily. And they can figure it out, but it would just take a lot more time. So we try and find these lulls between major tasks for them where they can go and port stuff back.
Yeah.
And we just need to do some of that, really. So.
And those are the sorts of things that work towards the goal of like, you don't really have to install third-party software to play PoE if you're a long-term player. That's ideally the outcome there. And that got me thinking about that. There's two features of Awaken Trade that I would keep me using it, even if you had the in-game price checking and that was working just as well. And those are /hideout macro, the ability to like return to your hideout quickly. And the second one is the control scroll wheel your stash has without being moused over it, because that exists in game, but you have to mouse over it, which kind of defeats the purpose.
Interesting.
So I'm just wondering if like those are things that could just become core behaviors.
Well, the latter one, I can just go and talk to some UI programmers and see whether we can do that.
Both are fully feasible.
Please do.
The first one I'm less certain of, but
We added it. Well, why not? It's just a
I think in PoE 2 there's a return to hideout button if you go to someone's hideout to trade. I don't know if that's in PoE 1 currently. So that might be just like a little gap
also
to fix.
Similar to how we bound use town portal. Like
it could be a hotkey,
we could have
right?
a return to hideout.
That would be amazing.
Or just a go to hideout. Obviously it won't always work. Like if you're in an area where hideout doesn't work, it won't work.
Yeah.
But
also maybe then do one for like, / King's March or whatever the one is that brings you to King's March. And
that's kind of the one I use the second most if I'm playing that.
Half your keyboard just teleports you.
Yeah, we've got a lot of hotkeys, but these could be optional ones, I suppose.
Some are more used than others, right?
Yeah.
So we'll start with those ones before we add a whole ruckus of.
Oh, that'd be amazing. If the control scroll wheel's possible as well, that'd be awesome, because that's just like when you're transferring stuff from your inventory, you're moused over there. You don't have to mouse over to change tabs and then back and forth. That'd be awesome. Oh, great. Awesome news. The Total event caught me by surprise. Trial of the Ancestors. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. How did that one come about? And just kind of like, just quickly, kind of, what are your thoughts on it? Any useful takeaways? Learn some useful stuff about?
We wanted to just have like a variety of different events we can run, and it was like, we don't want to just keep doing the same thing. And so it kind of was like, okay, we've had this and this. Like we even discussed at the time, going, could Mercenaries be an event format? And we went through all the different options. And then I think there's been a bit of because Trial of the Ancestors effectively got dismantled after the league.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's gonna be so much work to bring it back. Turns out wasn't that much work.
Yep. It took a programmer like 1 day to revive it.
Yeah. Ended up being way quicker than we had expected. So we were like, well, let's just do it, run it as an event. I know people have been craving it, but let's actually see if it's more nostalgia fueled or otherwise. But yeah.
It's one that I see, like, some people just like they tried it here and they're like, nah, I don't get it, I don't like it. But then I see other people, like I was reading a thread about it today, and they're like, I love this, like I want them to make it core. Like this seems to, some people really fall in love with this mechanic. So is it something you want to make core at some point still?
We're on ultimately we were like, do we keep it as like a kind of event thing, and that way certain people play it because they love it and others won't, yeah, I guess there is still the room to integrate it into core and do a bunch of stuff around that, as long as it's obviously, you don't have to do it, right? It's like, if you like that, similar to say Heist, if you are into Heist, there's always a crowd that loves these different things, then you can go do that, and if you don't want to do it, then just ignore it. So as long as it's in that format, because it is quite specialized content.
Super.
Like, it's just totem rugby.
The most of anything, I think, the most specialized.
So, you know, it has a place. We just need to talk about it and figure out where we want it to be.
Could we scroll down a little bit, production, just so I can see those questions down there? Do the ducats increased intangibilities? There's some random chat questions we have here. So
Depends on the ducat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every currency is just set by myself as to whether or not it does or doesn't. There are a lot of lower level currencies that you would use at lower levels more frequently don't. So like an alchemy orb doesn't increase intangibility, but things that you're using when you're finishing an item often do. So like an exalted orb, for instance.
Can replica unique mods become vestigial unique mods?
Yep.
Yeah, that seems like it would be legal, unlike the other ones.
Those are legal.
Yeah, because they're just they are just a unique.
There are some interesting things you can do, because you can take a
What
replica
about
unique,
scarab changes?
and then it can roll into the non-replica version of the unique, and then it can, in some cases, it can have basically 2 of the similar mod.
Interesting.
On the same
That's kind of
item.
wild. I imagine you can't create a replica unique though, because they're from a specific piece of content, same as boss drops.
Yeah, we didn't want to do the
You don't want to cheat that.
getting all the boss drops and no one's even killed the bosses.
It's no good.
The things it can create are the things you can ancient orb an item into.
Nice. That makes sense. Can we get log into hideout? Or so I like that option that logs you back into your hideout. I think PO2 has that.
As much as no one's gonna like the answer, no. They're logging into town is important for us.
Yeah.
And probably for reasons people won't like. But ultimately, like just to express it, it is ultimately we want the game to feel like a multiplayer game, and we want you to log into a hideout and see other players and be part of this universe where there are other players. And as soon as you can just bypass that, and again, I know people aren't going to like that answer, but that's just where we stand on it. And not to say it. I used to say it a lot more, but my answer is kind of deal with it.
Deal with it.
But I know that's not going to be a popular take for sure.
Will we eventually be able to switch out gear in the recently teased Animate Guardian UI? The teaser has locks in the UI indicating that we can't take items out. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, the Animate Guardian is, we sort of just got that in a week or 2 ago. So at the moment, it's just very bare bones. You can right-click the icon and you can see what items are equipped on your Animate Guardian.
Yeah.
You still have to go through the really jank process of dropping the item on the ground and using the skill on it to actually equip it.
Yep.
We do want to actually change that so you can just drag and drop items.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if we'd want to allow you to remove items that are on an Animate Guardian.
No, that's fair. I imagine it'd be like mercenary. You can put them over. Yeah, fair enough. I think that leads to my final question of today, which is ExileCon is fast approaching, and I think in many people's eyes, it's a lot about Path of Exile 2. Like, it's a big event to announce the big stuff for PoE 2, but is there some stuff that PoE 1 fans should be excited about for ExileCon? Is that a focus? Is something happening there?
For sure. It's not PoE 2 con, it's ExileCon, right? We've got 2 main games, 2 titles, right? And of course, ExileCon will have a thing for PoE 1 and for PoE 2. And I actually saw some people, just before the stream was started, I saw a few people going, last PoE 1 patch for the year. And I went, no, it's not. There is a 3.30. It will be before the release of PoE 2. And so... it's crazy to think that there's that many expansions.
I know, right? I was talking about this with Jonathan earlier. It's like, there's been 30 expansions since the 3 series. Right?
Yes, we will have another PoE 1 expansion. Already cooking up some awesome ideas, and I'm sure they're released. I'm sure next Saturday for us, we will be able to nail it down mostly. But some pretty cool stuff in the works, or to be in the works fully, since these guys are wrapping up. But yeah, should be epic. PoE 1, PoE 2, big end of year for us. Absolutely monster of an end of year for everything Path of Exile related. Yeah.
Absolutely. Excellent. That's fantastic news. Exactly what we want to hear.
Dude, I kept seeing the same guys in here going like,
Octavian, Mark, thanks very much for the Q&A time.
Thank you very much, and awesome job, you two, by the way.
Awesome job to you, Ziggy.
Oh, thanks.
It's a banger of a patch.
And then we'll stop,
Exciting.
and then I'll go live again later for TLI. All right, W. Very good. And now we wait for the patch notes. Do we even want to go over the patch notes, or we want to go over them individually? Come on. Come on. Okay, so assassin changes, so Shadow's eating good. And occultist changes. So our two homies, these are my two favorites anyway, so. I would love some Sabo buffs though, that would be nice. Would love some Saboteur buffs. He needs it. The new Scion's good, so much new good stuff. And I'm in Discord later. I'm down to see your highlights of them in Discord later too. Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know if we need to sit here and go over. Honestly, I don't think there's going to be enough interest, and I don't think I'll know enough to give people the real update on what they'd want from patch notes for Po 1. I think Po 2 would be easier, but probably not Po 1. Yeah, I might just go eat then. Is anyone live right now? Yeah. Oh, they're rating Mathel. Oh, that's funny. All right. All right. Well, good video. We got Torchlight tonight. Yeah, dude, Minion Pack's gone, so it's not like I wouldn't even think it exists. Pretend Minion Pack is not a thing anymore because it won't be. It's dead. Will be absolutely dead. Oh yeah, there's no way. There's no way. It's gonna get killed. All right, let's stop. I'm gonna stop now then. It's just that interaction's just gone. Pretend, just do not plan on anything with Minion Pack. All right, guys, I'll be live probably at like 8:30, or it goes live at 10. So I'll be live at 9:30, and we'll chill for a half hour, and then we'll go play some Torchlight tonight. If you guys never played it before, download it. It's free. It's so much fun. But thank you so much. Holy shit, we had over 200 people today. That was so cool. And we got rated by Lazy, which is awesome. And I will see you guys all after we all eat dinner and hang out for a bit. Big kiss. Mwah. Thank you guys. Thank you, YouTube. Hope you guys had fun. Have a good night. I'll see you guys in a few hours.